are you going to be on draft day? Let's go! I don't think people realize just how many people are coming on over these 3 days.
It's nice to know that our general manager actually has a plan. I'm ready. Sorry.
Jets have 4 picks in the top 40.
This just might be the most important draft in New York Jets history.
I can't believe this is our 3rd year doing this.
I know, it's like the guest list that we have is anybody and everybody. This is going to be the biggest one of them all.
So it gets bigger every single year. It's awesome.
I love it. I can't wait for it. That's awesome. Welcome to Talkin' Jets. My name's Ryan and I'll be your pilot tonight. Boys and girls, we're all so excited. It's finally draft week. It's the last Talkin' Jets panel before the NFL draft. And I've got my co-pilots, Greenbean and Matt O'Leary. Greenbean, how you doing tonight?
Dude, well, how many hours are we away? We're in the hours. Like, we can legitimately start saying hours now. And that puts me in a good mood. I just wonder, Ryan, why are we all so excited for everyone to be so upset in just a few hours?
Right? No matter who the Jets take, it's going to be a shitstorm of people being upset and like, I can't believe they passed on X, Y, and Z.
What?
Matt.
Oh, no, I'm not watching a single game. I'm moving to Canada.
Ridiculous. You're telling me they didn't go this way? Matt, how you doing tonight?
Yeah, if they don't go running back at pick 4, we riot. I'm so excited and so nervous at the same time. Had to rock the 2-9 jersey today for our guy Bilal Powell. The only one we could rock today. Congrats on an awesome career, my friend. And yeah, let's do some draft talk.
Dude, I love that they retired him today. It was nice to retire him a Jet. All right, we have a lot to get into. Chat. We see you. We got over 200 people already in there. Drop a like. For every 25 likes we get on this video, we're going to pick a qualifier for our t-shirt giveaway. And if you're watching this after the fact and you want to be qualified during the draft to win a jersey, all you got to do is leave a comment on this video down below. So, boys and girls, what can we talk about? I feel like there's not a lot to talk about right now. I can't imagine anything has really happened. There's been a whirlwind of rumors. Now, Matt, I know you posted, you were texting us a little bit back and forth. Trayvon Walker appears to be the favorite to be the #1 overall pick. So I guess I want to start there with your thoughts on how this might unfold.
So, yeah, as of today, he is minus 225 to be the first overall pick, which is, in percentages, an implied chance of 69 and change percent. So the odds makers really believe that he is going to be #1 overall. I think that would be downright crazy. I don't get it, but it's Jacksonville. They do crazy shit all the time. They're going to be scared off of 𝐒𝐮 Hutchinson because of his arm length. That's supposedly what it is. 7th percentile arm length for 𝐒𝐮 Hutchinson versus Trayvon Walker, who has I don't know, this unbelievable wingspan and these pure traits, but he just hasn't shown anything in college to prove that he is a prototypical pass rusher yet. So that you're doing that all based on I think I can turn him into that, but you don't know based on college. So I think that'd be a major risk, but that's where things are looking right now, as crazy as that is.
Samantha Bennett, thank you so much for joining the Jets Talk 24/7 family. Members of the channel, drop some JETS in the chat for our newest member, Samantha. Really means a lot. Yeah, man, dude, the whole Trayvon Walker thing is kind of interesting because I know a lot of people on the Jets side of things are hoping this guy goes before us because they are so afraid of him. They see Vernon Gholston 2.0. And I can understand, the workout warrior blew up the combine. You know, it's a lot of projection. I see it. I was watching Joe Bluett's breakdown of him, and it made me feel a little bit more comfortable in the event that he fell to 4 and the Jets took him, because some of what he did was just holding a tackle with one arm as he tackled a running back, but he just overpowered people as opposed to just going after the pass rusher. Or he'd have a situation where it's a run-pass option, and he doesn't do his pass rush moves because he's holding the edge, and then throws the tackle and goes around him as soon as he sees the quarterback has the ball. Like is some really interesting traits about him, but dude, he's terrifying. I'm with you, Matt. I hope he goes before us because he's one that definitely scares me. Greenbean, what are your Greenbean? What are your thoughts on Trayvon Walker?
What happened? Did I go somewhere?
No. I thought Matt was going to say something, and then he just said, "Yep."
Oh, okay. I'm like, oh shit, my internet's going out.
No, good. You're good.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really curious why the odds would be Trayvon Walker is now. Now, Matt, is that the more people are betting that Trayvon Walker, or Vegas is kind of putting it out there that they think Trayvon Walker? What is the results that you're looking at? Is it people bet results?
No. So at least on our site, the one that people have been betting a lot is Evan Neal first overall. They're buying into the offensive lineman coming back into play. Now, some of that has to do with value. His price point is like plus 1,200, so that's a $100 bet turns into 1,200 versus you having to lay $225 to win $100 on Trayvon Walker being the first pick. So it's not the easiest or best, I guess, analysis to go off of bets percentage or even handle percentage, because some of that is swayed by what the odds are. But like just the straight up odds is what the feeling that Vegas is getting on what's going to happen. And it's really just in the last couple of days we've seen that shift.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I am one who believes. Now, I'm not going to speak for your fine organization that you work for by any stretch, but I'm curious as to when Vegas puts things like that out, what is their motivation? Is it strictly stats, or is it motivation to get people to do something? So they put more money on this or that or the other thing. So I believe, with zero information to back this up, it's my belief nonetheless that everybody wants us to think Trayvon Walker is going first. So we all spend money on it and lose. That's what I think. That's what
it's possible.
Now, again, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't. But I feel it, and it's strong too. I fucking really feel that way with no information. Now, as far as Trayvon Walker, Ryan said it, man. Like the good news with being at 4 is that the 3 more foolish organizations in this league than us happen to be 1, 2, and 3 this year. And there is nothing that I would put past them to, like, whatever mistakes, whatever confusing, head-scratching moves. So I think that could be to our benefit. I still have hope that Aidan Hutchinson is going to slip to, and there's to 4, and I think there's a legitimately realistic path to get there. Now, will it happen? I think it's slim, but there is a realistic path for Hutchinson, who's my favorite edge, to get there. And I think if he did, I'm fairly confident that he would be the pick. I think there's so much smokescreen, though. I'm going to say I am admittedly smoked out. Big.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Right after 420, right? So, dude, I don't understand. I shouldn't say I don't understand Walker, because I do get it. When you're drafting for projection. That's why people are expecting Malik Willis to go earlier than Kenny Pickett. Like, Kenny Pickett is the more pro-ready quarterback now. He's probably got a higher floor, but his ceiling is like almost what it is right now from what I've kind of been hearing. So you could get him to start right away, but are you really going to see the upside? You'd rather roll the dice on someone like Malik Willis, who could bomb or could be a franchise quarterback. And I think that's sort of what you're looking at with Trayvon Walker. And I don't know if you necessarily need to do that because there's so many good edge rushers. But I'm with you, Greenbean. I kind of think that, offensive line is sort of where I thought they would go. And Matt brought it up with Evan Neal. Ickey feels like the pick for me at number 1, just because of Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. And I don't know. For me, it feels weird that they would go edge rusher there. I don't know. But Vegas doesn't lose. That's the thing.
No, they do. They never do. You're right.
So that's just it. Like, I don't think they're getting people to bet. Although I would love to know, when did we know Baker was the pick? I thought it was the day of the draft.
It was that morning. Yeah, it was that morning.
Hours, right.
But supposedly the biggest liability is Trayvon Walker, which that means the books would be losing if Trayvon Walker is the pick at number 1. So I don't think they don't manipulate those lines to make more people bet on it for them to lose more. That doesn't. If anything, they should be shortening those lines, which they're not.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe.
But let me ask you this: so if it's bet 100 to win 130, is that what you said it was?
No,
Well, no,
Trayvon
for
Walker.
Trayvon Walker, you got to bet 220 to win 100.
Yeah. He's a heavy favorite.
You got to bet a lot more to get that 100, as opposed to someone like Icky or Neil that you might bet 100 and get like 1,000 or something like that.
So all right, so technically speaking, Vegas would be saying they're trying to get you to stop betting Trayvon Walker.
Correct. They're trying to make value better on other guys so that you are willing to play those. Right. Yeah.
So then they just might believe that he is number 1 overall.
Exactly.
That's the case. Yeah, I get it. Okay. So literally I had it 180 reversed.
You had
the reverse.
an opposite. I see where you were trying to go with it, but dude, I still think O-line makes more sense for them. But I mean, the narrative we've been hearing has been Hutchinson and Walker, and there seems to be a divide within the Jaguars organization as to who likes who. So it's gonna be fascinating to see. Joseph drops in, says, "I'm not a fan of Hutch. He had another first-round D-end on the other side of the line. I think the two of them inflated each other's draft stock."
Yeah.
God,
Can you say that about Trayvon Walker playing with 2 other first-rounders on his defensive line?
Right, and look at the linebackers. Right, totally.
Yeah, yeah. You could say it about Walker. You could say it about Hutch. I would say that there's probably some type of knock against everyone in this class. Like, Hutch had the guy opposite him. Walker was on the best team in the league. Jermaine Johnson went from SEC to ACC. Kayvon Thibodeau, everyone's talking about the personality stuff. And then Karlaftis just kind of feels like he's being forgotten about. Almost. Like, I've seen mocks of him falling like later first, and that just blows my mind. I cannot see a situation where he falls, beyond pick 20.
Yeah, well, and the same thing with Jalen Phillips and Rousseau. I mean, it happens, man. Like, the thing is, like, with that stuff, that's when you're only looking at the production, right? Like, when you look at just a real quick box score style stat line, when you don't dig deeper than that and see what's really going on, then yes, you can say that. And I don't doubt for 1 second that the other players on the team that help draw some of the attention definitely helps them. But there's more to that. That's like one layer of it. There's a lot more to like about Aiden Hutchinson and others than just that. You know what I mean? I hear the argument, but Matt brings up a great point. I mean, when you look at Georgia, I mean, shit, if any team could be the excuse for any one of those guys falling flat on their face in the NFL, it is Georgia, man. They were everywhere. And how many of those guys are going to be first and second round picks? So,
dude, a ton. You're talking about like Walker, Wyatt. Who's the other D tackle they had?
Davis.
Walker, Wyatt, Davis.
Yeah,
Then you got Pickens, James Cook, Scene.
Yep.
Quay Walker,
Kobe Dean.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts.
Like, that's 8 right there, and that's like without really blinking. Like, there's probably other guys that we're just forgetting about. I want to say there's another linebacker that's going to go pretty high too. I think all 3 of them are supposed to be pretty good. Yeah,
Tyndall.
Top 4 rounds.
Damn, Tyndall. Yeah, I was listening to some stuff today, and they were talking about Nakobe Dean probably not being a starting level NFL linebacker till at least year 2.
I would love to bring him in. Like, if he falls to the second round, he's there. Let him sit for a year. Who cares? Let Quincy Williams and C.J. Mosley play. Let Nakobe Dean learn a little bit, and I think he's going to be really good. I really do.
I do too. I happen to like Nakobe Dean. I do think I'm a like, if I had to pick one, I think I'm Camp Devin Lloyd, and I also like Leo Chanel. I like Quay Walker much more than a lot of other people do. But I think I'm like, just my best linebacker in the draft. I think I'm Devin Lloyd.
Richard R. drops in with a super chat. Thank you, brother. I didn't see any comment with that. Don Tiki jumps in, says, bigger need, linebacker or safety? Probably. Oh man, I don't know. Probably linebacker, I guess. But it's really I would put both of them at second round needs. Um, if you want to take one in the third, I think that's fine. But I do think the second round is where you get both those positions. Because I don't think C.J. Mosley's here next year, and I probably think Lamarcus Joyner's a 1 year and done after this. Matt, what about you? Bigger need, linebacker or safety?
Yeah, as you were answering, I went back and forth in my head 3 times over already, but I'm gonna stick on linebacker. And my fear is that I think the Jets like Quincy Williams too much and might put off linebacker for too long, which would make me extremely uncomfortable because Mosley is not what he used to be in coverage, and Quincy Williams is more of someone who's going to come up and make plays and stay out in coverage. So I look at that as the bigger need, but it's really close.
What about you, Green Bean? Linebacker or safety?
I would have said safety, but we didn't do anything for linebacking, and it was a major weakness last year. And one of the guys we're counting on blew his Achilles last year, and we don't even know if he's good in the first place. In Jamie and Sherwood, so I think there's more. We need more of them right now. Maybe not. Maybe so. I don't know. I think I would probably lean linebacker if we get a good like starting level free safety. I think we're kind of done for a minute there, and then we have enough to look at. And then linebacker, I still think we need a bunch of work. And then one of the guys that we have there, we don't know how long he's going to last. Mm-hmm. I'd say linebacker, right?
Wild Billy Boy says, Ojabo falls to the 4th round. Do we pull the trigger? I would 100%. He's not going to fall that far. I think there's a real good shot he still goes in the 1st round. Matt, your thoughts?
I think Green Bay or Kansas City picks him up at the end of the 1st round. They're a team who has the ability to draft and stash a guy just like that. I don't think he's there at 35 even. I think he's a 1st rounder still.
John. Yeah. Oh, you want to answer?
It's okay. I was going to agree with Matt. I think he's late 1st, early 2nd. That's all.
John says, how do we feel about Brugler's comments on Becton? I haven't seen it. Do you guys know what the comments were?
Yeah, he said some people believe that Mekhi Becton will never put on a Jets jersey again.
Oh, that was him?
Yeah. I think there's people that believe that, but I don't know if it's people inside our building. My understanding, without doing too much research, was that I think Justin Hardy came out and said something along the lines of like, hey, Mekhi Becton's taking care of, was it his kid maybe?
His wife's eight plus months pregnant. That's why he wasn't here.
So he's not look, I can sympathize. My wife's pregnant. She's nearly 8 months pregnant at this point. So I until Becton shows up out of shape or he's, really missing like major workouts, then I'll be concerned. I don't know. I would be so mad if this winds up being true. Because if we take a tackle high, I'll be so upset.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, look, honestly, our feelings aside, one way or the other. I mean, I just looked at it again. I didn't realize that was Dean Brugler, but I did see that earlier. But it's people around the NFL. So again, it's much to do of nothing. And what do they mean, people around the NFL? So if you're not in our market and actually take the moment to sift through where this noise comes from, look, even our fans, we're here and we have the ability just to look. We can get to know the sources, whether it's Samini or Hughes or whoever. You can look and say, well, what's the source? And you'll realize that 9 out of 10 articles they write, there is no source. It's a bunch of happenstance. It's a bunch of I think and take keep an eye on and all that kind of stuff. Like they say, scuttlebutt, the scuttlebutt. So I think if you're around the NFL, if you're in the market of Cincinnati or you're down there in Houston, what are you going to think's going on? You're going to listen to what's coming out of the reports. And the truth is that most of what they said. Now, again, we can't say if Saleh likes Becton or not. We have no idea. But the reports that came out that Becton was 40 pounds overweight was debunked. The idea that he was going to miss significant time with plantar fasciitis was debunked. The idea that he was 40 pounds overweight was debunked. I mean, his trainer put out a video the next day, I think it was, maybe 2 days later, and said, this is him today. So whatever this 40-pound shit. So I'm just saying, like, I don't know the truth of it, but what I do is I just look and say, okay, what's the source? And what's the supporting information? And every time we've heard anything about Becton, there hasn't been any real information. It's all hearsay shit. So I don't know. I don't think it's Dean. This doesn't do anything. Nothing new came out today. He just said some people in the NFL think this. Great. You know what I mean? What's new about this? I don't get it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Samantha drops in with a super sticker. Thank you, Samantha. Says she's got a little character holding her face going, you're number one. Samantha, we like you. You can hang around a little bit.
Yeah.
Gabe drops in. Gabe says, if it comes down to KT or Jermaine Johnson at 4, who's the pick? By the way, Ryan, Matt, what will you be drinking draft night? Ooh, so I had some Sour Monkey last night. I actually have so we did our baby shower this past weekend, and I got 2 Sistels, which is like the skinny, thin kegs. Like normally you get a half keg. This is basically like a quarter keg. And I got Sierra Nevada Hazy IPA. That one's really good. So I might like crack into that and still like hit that because it's still on ice. So I kind of like that. What about you, Matt? What are you drinking?
I don't know. I feel like we've done the champagne gimmick the last 2 years, so I don't know if I'm going to continue that for year 3. But someone mentioned I should pick up a bottle of Buffalo Trace, so maybe I'll have to do that.
I'm going to fill this cup with mystery fluids for every round, and then I'll let you guys guess.
It's Monster.
I like that.
No, the Monster I keep right in the can.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, I can drink alcoholically. Trust me.
Joe Linnaeus, thank you for the $2 super chat. Jake dropped in. Jake says, granted we don't trade for Deebo, I want to move number 10 or 4 for multiple picks. Actually, I probably should have finished that super chat from Gabe. He said, if it comes down to KT or Jermaine Johnson, who's the pick? I like Jermaine Johnson. I'm going to say Jermaine Johnson. I kind of hope KT's not there. Matt, real quick, what do you want, KT or Jermaine?
KT. That's been my stance for a while. I'm not changing off of it. Give me KT, baby.
Green Bean, KT or Jermaine?
KT, 100%.
Jake says, okay, so he doesn't want to. Granted, we don't trade for Deebo. I want to move 10 or 4 for multiple picks. All mocks I've done, I love more with the extra picks. This isn't a top-heavy draft, but has so much second-tier talent. Yeah, this is a great draft to have middle like picks. So for me, I would want to trade out of 4 personally because I really like a lot of the edge rushers. So I'm not opposed to getting one at number 10, especially if the board breaks a certain way at the top of it. Like maybe it goes 𝐒𝐿, Hutch, Sauce, and then it's like, okay, you have KT, Jermaine, Walker, and Karlaftis still there, and on odds you're going to get one of those guys at number 10. So I would move number 4 personally. Matt, is there a feeling you would want to move one of those 2 picks?
I want to stay put at pick 4 because I really do think that 𝐒𝐿 𝐫𝐞𝐳 is going to be there, and that's the guy that I really want. But even so, like, I'm not sold that Jermaine Johnson's a definite to make it to 10. So I'm nervous about what happens there. And although I'm a little bit higher on George Karlaftis than a lot of other people, so I'd be good with that at 10, but I just don't think the Jets would do that. I think if it were to be any of those 2 picks, it would be move back with pick 10. But also, like, you have 9 draft picks. I don't want to be in a situation where we're taking like double-digit guys in the draft every single year. I think eventually you got to like stay in the higher side and take these premier guys who are going to have a major impact, hopefully.
Green Bean, your thoughts trading back from 4 or 10?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Matt on the idea, like, trading back and getting, another 3rd and a 5th and then a 4th next year. Like, as much as I love that stuff, I think it's time to we did a lot of moving and shaking over the past 2 years since Joe Douglas has been here. It's time to use our capital. Now, if we can get another first for next year by moving down a few spots and not really dropping too much in the talent tier, I think that's a smart move because that'll give you 3 years in a row with 2 firsts. That accelerates the plan. And then, we really should be good after that. If it's just moving down for moving down's sake, with a little bit of, just like not really a sweet deal, then I would probably just stick and stay because we need our freaks, man. And the freaks are easier to find up top.
Red John says, random, better receiver, Keyshawn or Hines Ward? I like Hines Ward. I love the smile he used to get whenever he got clocked across the middle. But Keyshawn was a Jet. I mean, Hines Ward, I guess, is technically a Jet, but not as a player. I would say Hines Ward. Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, kind of put us on the spot here with this one, but my gut says Hines Ward. I think for the longevity with him, I mean, they both played a while, but my gut is just telling me Hines Ward. As much as it sucks because obviously Keyshawn's our guy, but I lean Hines.
Green Bean, what about you?
Yeah, Keyshawn all day.
All day. Albert drops in, says, thoughts on DeBrickashaw Ferguson, pick 15 years later when we could have had Cutler or Vernon Davis. If we take Ickey or Neal, is that the right move? When we took DeBrickashaw Ferguson, we needed a left tackle. We have a left tackle right now. If they don't like Mekhi Becton, I think if they can get a first for him and they don't feel they love him, then I think they'll do it and they'll take a tackle. But I think we like our tackle. I like Fant. I think DeBrickashaw Ferguson is one of the best selections the Jets have ever made in the history of the NFL draft. Matt, your thoughts real quick.
Yeah, I don't think the situation is really all that comparable from 2006 to now because, as you said, they really needed one. And I think people thought they were going to take Leinart that year anyway. I don't think it was Cutler. So
they tried to
I don't
trade
really...
up for Bush, too. That was the other thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Wow. Yeah, 2006 was an interesting draft.
Green Bean, what about you?
We talking about University of Virginia again? Is that what we're doing?
DeBrickashaw Ferguson, 15 years later,
right,
when we could have had Cutler or Vernon Davis. Do you think Ickey or Neal is the right move?
No, that's. I mean, I don't even know how you can look at it doesn't all boil down so simply. You know what I mean? It's not. Not everything is comparable to everything else. Here's the thing: when we drafted DeBrickashaw Ferguson, we had no one at left tackle. We also had no one at center. We also had no one at right tackle. We had a devastated offensive line when we did that. That's why we used 2 firsts, including one that we traded John Abraham to acquire to get 2 offensive linemen. And then we went into the next round and got a quarterback because this franchise was vacant. We had nothing going on here. So this year we happen to have 2 starting left tackles with 2 adequate and serviceable reserve tackles. So I think it's a significantly different thing. I don't look at 2006 and say, wow, we got a good player then. We should do the same thing now, even though everything's different, So I hear you. I want a dominant offensive line too. The difference between us, and again, I have no idea who Saleh likes and who Saleh doesn't like. I'll tell you what, if all this shit about who he doesn't like is real, I'm starting to think Saleh might be a little bit of a fucking bitch. All right,
you know what I'm saying? Be careful. Saleh's gonna he's gonna start swinging at you. I don't want to screw with Saleh.
It's real.
Screw with Adam Gase.
I have a hard time buying into Saleh doesn't like everybody. He doesn't really like this guy. He doesn't like I don't know. I'm finding it hard to buy into all this dramatic stuff because if he doesn't like all these guys, then something's wrong with this guy. You know what I mean? That's my first thought. It's like, hey man, we have some talent here. Use it until we can have time to replace it. The fact that we are talking about replacing a couple of the positions that are the only positions that we have any serviceable players in bothers me. You know what I mean? I don't know. If you're going to get a first round pick for Becton and then replace him with Ickey, all right, then do it. You don't like him, fucking get him out and do what you got to do to get your guys in here. But the way I see it is we're creating a hole to fill a hole when we already have a guy that we could fill another hole and like see what these guys do. And then let's assess the situation. You know what I mean?
Dallas James drops in with a $20 super chat. Thank you, Dallas. You're the man. He says, "Hey guys, I asked Richie from Jets Media earlier if the guys the Jets want aren't available at 4, do they use the 4 pick in a package for Deebo? Just a thought. What do you think? Let's go." I would be very upset if we gave up the 4th pick for Deebo because I think you can get maybe not a haul of picks, but I think it's far more valuable. I don't think any team is going to give up enough where us giving up 10 would be the worst option. Like, I think 10, giving that up is a lock. Like, we're going to get him at that point. So, no, I would say I would not. I don't know what situation you could possibly have where I would give up 4 unless I'm getting, like, a ton of players back. And I don't think that makes sense. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, a pick 4 is too rich for me. I'm completely okay with giving up pick 10, but I want to hang on to pick 4 and get my edge there. I think that's super important for this team. For me, the difference is, at least my belief for what I would want to do, if the Jets don't trade for a receiver, I would like to use pick 10 on a receiver. So I'm okay with moving that pick for an established guy like Deebo Samuel, who's just entering his prime.
Well said, Matt. I like that. Green Bean, what about you?
I wasn't listening. What did we say here? Hey guys,
trading number 4 in some type of package to get Deebo Samuel.
Oh yeah, I was listening actually. Yeah, I agree with what you said, Ryan. Like, I don't want Matt at that for that matter. I want to take a player at 4 because I don't know how many more times we're going to be up here. In my hopes, we're not up here very often. Moving forward, right? I don't want to have a top 5 pick every year anymore. So we take our shot being in the top 5. We get a top 5 player, and then move on from there. Now, if somebody's going to say, "Hey, dude, I'll give you 3 firsts and a third," like San Francisco did last year, and you move down 6 spots, you go, "Yeah, a top 10 pick and 3 firsts and a third sounds better than just a top 4 pick." So I would do that, but I agree with you, Ryan. It has to be sweet. Like, I'm not moving down for the sake of moving down. There are at least 4 or 5 players I would love to get at 4.
CE drops in, says, "Off topic, but I hope we move back to Queens. Lease is up in 2024 next to Citi Field to get out of Giants' shadow and change up our ugly unis. What do you think?" I think it's more likely that the Jets re-up the lease for whatever duration of time it is, because we are now 2 years from 2024, and you would have had to start building that stadium already if we were going to do something. So I don't think Jets are opting out. I think they're staying in MetLife at least for a little bit longer. Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, like, I get it. I don't like MetLife Stadium either. One, sharing it with the Giants kind of sucks, and number 2, I don't know. It's a pain in the ass for me to get to, so it's for selfish reasons I don't like it. But does it make sense to have 2 100,000 seat arenas that close to each other? Like, I don't know if logistically that's the wisest thing. So while I don't love sharing the stadium, like, from a logistics perspective, I don't really know. Like, is another 100,000 seat building really good for the area?
Green Bean, what about you? What do you think about possibly moving out of MetLife?
I want to tell Jets fans, and I've been saying this since the mid-'90s, okay? They're not moving back. There was that 10-minute period when Herm Edwards went to the west side and said, "Look, we're going to build a stadium." That was 15 minutes. Other than that, it's never been realistic for the Jets to move to Jersey. I want to remind everybody that we actually moved from Hempstead. Matt will tell you, he used to look out his window and see the place. It was real. It was there, right? They spent $250 million to build a facility over in New Jersey. It's gorgeous. They have space. They run the town. There's Teterboro Airport. Morristown Airport's right there. They can fly guys in. It's 10 minutes from their facility. Dude, it's the sweetest gig in the world, and they pay less taxes. So it would be a miracle to see them squeeze in a spot back in New York somewhere. I just don't see it, and I never did.
Holy
I was excited.
smokes. Holy
Oh!
shit. Oh. All right, Butt Files.
Just
We
two.
got both your super chats back to back. Let me do the $50 one first. Holy
Oh, you
cannoli.
just cut me off.
Mutt Files drops in. He
We'll
says,
see.
can we please stop writing off Becton and buying these O-line picks at 4 to replace him? Becton dominated as a rookie, was hurt last season. All these BS reports of him not caring about ball, being overweight is absolutely ridiculous. We're 100% on board with that. And Mutt Files drops in with a massive big dong super chat, $300. Holy smokes. Thank you. Holy hell. He says, if JD didn't believe in Becton, he would have been traded for a first rounder by now. We have more holes to be filled in, like edge, safety, wide receiver 1, heck, cornerback 1. I like Icky. He is a stud of an O-lineman, but we got our dominant guy in Becton. He's going to come back, destroy every single edge rusher coming after Zach Wilson this season. Dude, we saw Becton ragdoll people, like just throw them across the field.
Yeah.
So I have 100% faith that they see his upside. It's the same thing we're talking about almost with the Trayvon Walker kind of situation where you're projecting based on incredible upside. And Mekhi Becton was hands down the most talented, high upside tackle coming out of that draft. And I think even after seeing him for 1 year, that is still the case.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I understand you could be a little frustrated that he hasn't seen the field, but again, last year did not hurt. You know, it wasn't his fault. He got rolled up on. So, Green Bean, I'll throw it to you. Are you with Mutt Viles here on how everyone is like writing Becton off?
Yeah. Listen, I've been a Jets fan since 1982, right? I've been an active Jets fan. Like I was on the internet message boards earlier than a lot of people. I was in there 1998. Like I was already online doing what people are doing now back then, before this millennium. I was doing this shit. Never, ever, ever in my entire fandom as Jets fans have I seen fans turn on players so quickly as they have with Mekhi Becton and Denzel Mims. And it's specifically because of these loser beat guys that we have that are writing stories without any foundation. We've made dozens of videos telling you guys there's nothing here. All right? Like, I don't know. I mean, and even if there is, it's a trade. There's no reason to hate. Mutt Files is slamming it down. We watched this guy completely neutralize Joey Bosa. He threw Nick Bosa around, like Ryan said, like a rag doll. Saleh actually moved him over to the right side that game because Becton, he took Bosa out of the game. So, like, what is this? I don't even understand. So I've never seen it before. I don't even know what these fans, and now we got to draft. Like, if we're concerned about a player that got injured, do you realize that we would be using a first-round pick on every position? Elijah Moore was injured. Michael Carter was injured 3 times last year. You know what I mean? Like, the AVT was injured at the end of the year. Like, how many first-round picks do we have to use to take to fill holes of guys that got injured? Like, it's too important of a position. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what to tell anybody anymore. And if we decide to trade him, it's all well and good. But Becton's going to have a fine career in this league, whether it's with the Jets or not with the Jets. I think it will be. The guy, we watched him. For 14 games, we watched them fucking dominate. So I don't know what people's deal is. I don't really get it. Mutt Files, I'm with you 100%.
B2B says Mutt Viles just bought Twitter. Matt, your thoughts on the whole Becton situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been overblown this entire time. Green Bean said it so nicely before where first it was, Mekhi Becton's an M&M away from 450 bills. Then it's, it's his fault that he was out for the whole season. It's just these narratives are so stupid. It's everyone has it out for the kid. Can we at least get him to training camp? Like if he's in training camp and there's a legitimate concern, then this is a different conversation. But we're not even close to at that point yet. It's just so unbelievably frustrating. And I personally can't, as good as Icky is, once you signed Laken Tomlinson, to me, that ended any conversation for a guy like Ekwonu at the top of the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you. Mutt says, I had a full speech, but it was over 800 characters, LOL. And it wouldn't let me donate the whole thing. Mutt Viles, we love you, brother. Thank you. That was absolutely incredibly, too generous, brother.
Love you.
Gary B says, Hardy replied to Connor Hughes, y'all got to chill with the narrative to break players down. His child comes first. That is absolutely what I was talking about earlier. And it's echoing what we're hearing from Mutt Viles as well. Dude, you gotta calm down on this whole narrative. I like him. I'm a big Becton fan. Vincer says, if the Jets draft O-line, I'll be drinking tequila. That sounds about right. Richard R. says, have y'all seen Jalen Armour Davis's tape? Sleeper cornerback from Alabama. I'd like to get him if we don't take Gardner at 4. Have y'all seen his tape? I have not seen his tape. I don't know where he is projected to go. Greenby, do you know anything about him at all?
Who is it? Jalen Armour?
Yeah.
No, I don't even know who that is. Let me look and see. Hold on. I don't know.
Right.
What position is he? No, I don't know who that is.
He's a corner, so we'll let you take a look at that. Al Toon says, if Walker or Thibodeau are there at 4, who do the Jets pick? I think it's Walker. I really do. I think there's enough smoke around Thibodeau and the Jets not necessarily liking him, even though we've seen, like, it feels like the last 2 weeks have been like the Jets are all in on him, and now it's like Jermaine Johnson over Thibodeau. I think if Walker is deemed the first overall pick and he somehow falls to 4, I would be very surprised if the Jets did not take him, even though a lot of Jet fans are like squirming at me even saying that. So I don't know.
Oh, he's talking about Armour Davis. That's who it is. Right. I'm telling you, it rang a bell, but I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, that's Armour Davis out of Alabama. Right. Yeah, I don't look. The truth is I haven't spent too much time on the cornerbacks. He's supposed to be like a 4th, 5th round pick. There are whispers saying though that he might be better than his partner Job. Yeah, sorry about that. It's Armour Davis. I do know who it is. Truth is, I didn't dig too much on him, though.
That is fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who we got? Fernando. Fernando celebrates 2 months of membership. For every month you get a free super chat. So thank you, Fernando. He says, my feeling is they will draft Icky, play him at right tackle, have Becton versus Fant at left tackle. The loser is the swing/trade. Not saying I'm for it. I'm a Kayvon at 4 kind of guy. Man, that just feels... I would be so mad because Joe Douglas is an offensive line scout. He should be able to hit on guys in those 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds. I don't want to spend another top pick on an offensive lineman. That's like the one position that I think I would be really, really irritated if they took. So I would not be happy with that. Vinster drops in, says, need to sign Jason Morrow to retire a Jet. Matt knows.
He's legendary.
Jets legend, baby. Let's go. Yeah, him and who was the other one?
Jalen Saunders?
No, that's a good one. I was thinking oh my, he's on the tip of my tongue. 2017 draft class from Clemson, the tight end.
The tight end, yeah. Safarian Jenkins?
No. Oh my
that was
God.
Texas
Someone
Tech.
help me in the chat. Come on,
that was
chat.
Texas Tech. God, I don't know. 2017 tight end.
From Clemson.
Leggett.
Jordan Leggett, yeah. Him too.
Leggett.
Get him back.
Leggett.
Thank you.
Oh,
Went back too far.
Our brains are
right.
gonna melt. Let's see who is up next. Albert
I have to
Sue.
say it's one of McCagnon's better picks.
Albert Sue says Lynch, Parag want more than 10 for Deebo. I don't want to do that. And then let's see, we were DeWeiss. Bam. So this is going, with that as well. Tony Pauline says the Jets will get Deebo Samuel. That number 10 pick belongs to San Francisco. They have told him he can seek a trade. Thought around the league is Jets will make an offer they can't refuse. Yeah, look, we've known the Jets want to trade for a receiver. We've been in on Amari Cooper. We have, we were in on Tyreek Hill. We were going to be in on Calvin Ridley. We apparently, reached out about it before the whole gambling thing came out. There's rumors of DK Metcalf. There's no way Deebo wants a trade. We have all the capital in the world to make it happen. We have a young quarterback that we need to really surround with talent. I would be stunned if this did not happen. And if it's just for the number 10 overall pick, I would be ecstatic because I would much prefer Deebo at 10 than any receiver in this draft at 10. Matt, your thoughts?
Tony Pauline's never been right about the Jets, but if there's ever a time, this is it, baby. Let's freaking go. Come on.
Green Bean, your thoughts on trading 10 for Deebo?
Funny, because another reporter said earlier today that the asking price from the Niners is too high. They're asking for too much, and more than likely he won't be moved. So I think all these guys are so full of shit that their eyes are brown and they're just making stuff up. That's what I think. I mean, look at how many things we're hearing because somebody might be right, and that'll override all the stuff they've gotten wrong, and they'll say, look how right I was about this. Look, I'm totally into Deebo for 10. I actually think they would have to give Deebo and something else, maybe a fourth or fifth with him. Number 10 is incredibly valuable. Don't forget, Devontae Adams just got traded for essentially what breaks out to pick 13. So we're talking about Deebo Samuels with 1 year. Now, granted, he had a very good rookie year too, but one super year. And now all of a sudden we got to give him 10, 38 and Elijah Moore. You know what I mean? It's like, it's nuts. Pauline is never right. He was the only time I remember Pauline being right was when he said that 𝐒𝐿 was going to get fired, that there was a major fight in the draft room with Gase and 𝐒𝐿, and then Manish came out and said it was wrong, and then 5 days later, 𝐒𝐿 was fired. That's the only thing that he got right. I don't remember anything Pauline said that he was right. You know?
Young Stench becomes the newest member of the Jets Talk 24/7 family. Thank you so much, brother. Boys and girls, drop that JETS in the chat for our newest member, Young Stench, and hopefully he gets a little deodorant because rumor on the street is he is a little stanky.
That's what I hear.
That's what I hear, based on his username.
He's still young, though, Ryan. You got to give him some time to figure it out.
Can I chime in with the Mekhi Becton tweet that he literally fired off 58 seconds ago?
I'd love to hear it.
It's perfect. Well, it's no caption, just this picture. It's a meme from SpongeBob, and it says, shut your clown ass up.
Hopefully Mekhi Becton is watching right now. Mekhi Becton, the three of us love you. You're going to throw some dudes around, and we're going to friggin' go on a Super Bowl run once we make this whole draft thing happen. That's and Deebo comes to New York. Mumtaz drops in, says, praying it's only number 10 for Deebo. I hate all the wide receivers right now. Yes, I would prefer to give up just number 10 for Deebo and then not lose the second-round picks because we do need a bunch of other players as well. So I'm with you there, Mumtaz. John drops in. John says, what is the plan next year for right tackle? Fant can walk. I think you got to draft a developmental tackle in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round of this year. And I think there's a few guys that I really like. Mike Vrabel's son, Tyler Vrabel out of Boston College, is someone I think the Jets could look at later in the draft. And look, Joe Douglas fancies himself an offensive line scout. There's no reason he has to spend a top pick on an offensive player, or on an offensive lineman. I'd be very, very upset with that. Darrell Rivas drops in, says, imagine we take Breece Hall at 4. I would puke and destroy my whole TV. Yes, we would all puke. We'd go on an infant punching rampage. I would be so upset with that. Blitz Crew drops in, says, Becton and Mims totally agree. All these media guys looking for clickbait has made fans bail on these guys too early. Who are your guesses for top pick shocking slipping to the second round? Look, I can understand being upset with Mims because of what went on last year, but I don't get the whole Mekhi Becton thing. As far as guys that could slip, I think it's probably Linderbaum and Nakobe Dean are the names that I've been hearing the last few days. So Matt, is that what you would say as well?
You stole my answer. Those were the two that I was going to say. Supposedly, there's some thoughts that George Karlaftis is going to go into round 2, which, again, I just think that is absolutely insane, but we'll see.
Me too.
Greenby, what about you? Is there a player you think might fall to that second round?
I think there's been a lot of talk about Christian Watson being a first-round pick, and I think he's definitely going to be there in the second round. So that's one, and he's one of the reasons that I like taking a wide receiver later, because I happen to like him, but I don't like him at 4 or 10. I think it's too rich because he's going to take a minute. But he's one that I would say. I also agree with. I don't think Linderbaum's making it. I think that the Bengals are going to grab him if he's there. He'll be better than any tackle. He'll be a more higher rated center than any of the tackles that are left. I think obviously Neal and Icky and probably Cross and even Penning. I mean, I was listening to Pat Kerwin today, said he would be blown away if Trevor Penning was there at 16. Ooh. So that's something.
Like that. Yeah, I think a lot of teams are going to like him for sure.
Yeah, man. He's got that. What was the guy, the center last year? Miners was his name, right? The guy who walks, a big fat guy with the half shirts. Remember him? What was his name? Doug Miners?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But you don't know?
I got no idea
who
what you're talking about.
You know who I'm talking.
Creed Humphrey?
Anyway,
yeah,
no. He was a center. He ended up going in like the second or something like that. But he had a fucking great year. But yeah, he was another one that everybody said was going to be there, like in the third or fourth, and teams loved him. You know what I mean? You know, he ended up going. So I think Penning's in the same kind of mold as that.
Steven drops in, says, seems like picking a wide receiver at 10 is a reach, being that the top wide receiver this year would be wide receiver 3 or 4 last year. I bet JD goes strength of the draft and not wide receiver at 10. His willingness to pay big for Hill is pretty telling given his past. Yeah, I do think that. Well, so my thought process with Hill and giving up 2 seconds and a third, to me, feels like they were trying to raise the price for Miami. I don't think he was ever coming here. I think they're giving up the 10 pick probably makes a little more sense to me. Yeah, look, I'm right there with you. I think a lot of the receivers are really good in this class, and it wouldn't shock me if a lot of them were better than the top end of last year's draft, but there's not one that sets themselves apart like the top 3 in last year's draft. Matt, your thoughts on this?
On the wide receivers? Sorry, I was trying to look up that guy Greenby was talking about, and I
yeah, everybody's got it. We found him. It is Miners, Quinn Miners.
Okay, right. So we're going on. So I'm all derailed now. So we're going about the wide receivers in the last few drafts here.
Yeah, yep. Just from last year, like he seems like picking a wide receiver at 10 is a reach, given that this top draft wide receiver would be like wide receiver 3 or 4 in last year's draft. I think that's a tough thing to have to try and argue against.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much of a reach it really is. Like, sure, would they be wide receiver 1 in the other 2 classes? Probably not. But at the same time, there's still going to be probably, at least in my thought, I think there's going to be 6 or 7 receivers who go in the first round. So I'm not trying to wait around to 35 and get wide receiver 8 there.
Greenby, what about you? What do you think about the receivers at the top end of this class and not going receiver at 10?
Well, I think he's got a good point. I thought Matt was going to bring out his 47% stat. I was looking to get into it with him. But so here's what I'll say. I think that the Jets may like Jameson Williams or maybe one more wide receiver. Like maybe I'm thinking Olave, but who knows? Maybe if those guys are there, I think Atlanta's dangerous to be able to take maybe one of those wide receivers off the board. If they like one, they'll take one there because I think wide receiver is important. If not, if they think, like you said, Ryan, the strength of the draft is not wide receiver. And if they see a higher rated player there, linebacker or whoever, like if a Kyle Hamilton or a Sauce is there at 10, they'll probably go that way. And then they'll wait till the second because guys like Watson and Dotson and Pierce, they're all going to be there in the second round. So I mean, it's a good point. And I do agree that maybe Jameson Williams, there's an argument for him. But any other receiver, if you look at Garrett Wilson or Olave or London, none of them are going to be rated higher than CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Ruggs, Jefferson the year before. And none of them are going to be rated higher than Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase, and Jalen Waddle. So are they really as good as we think they are? Don't forget, fucking first round wide receivers bust all the time. We just had 2 of them on our team. One's Corey Davis, the other one's Brashad Perryman, and we had Dotson, And there was Kevin White 2 years before that. I mean, dude, just taking a wide receiver in the first when you reach for one doesn't work. It's a bad move.
Edward drops in and says, Becton, Mims, Zach are fine. Now some tequila. Yes, you deserve some tequila over there. Ryan, great name, strong name, says, did y'all ain't see TikTok of Zach golfing? Watch it. I haven't. I actually reached out to Zach on Instagram. I don't know if he runs his own Instagram or not. I run a golf course. Would love to have those guys up for a free round of golf. So if any of you guys know those, or if any Jet players are watching and you want to come golf, come see me. I will 100% get you out on the course for free. I love you guys. Don Tiki drops in, says, if you had a magic wand and could make two current Jet players in the NFL Jets, no quarterbacks, who would you pick? I would say I would probably do Jamar Chase and Chase Young. Those would probably be the two I would want right off the top. Wide receiver and edge rusher, both incredibly elite. Matt, what about you? If there's two players, non-quarterbacks, who are you waving the wand for?
Yeah, those are good answers too. I'll go a little bit different. I'll go Justin Jefferson at wide receiver. And on the defensive side, TJ Watt.
Ooh, I like that. Green Bean, what about you? Two guys that you could wave a wand for in the NFL that you could make Jets, no quarterbacks. Who would you take?
I would love Justin Jefferson and TJ Watt. Those would be my guys.
That's a great pick. I see a lot of people saying Nick Bosa. That's not a bad one. Parsons is a great one.
Nick Bosa comes here. Dude, think about this. I want to just remind everybody, okay? Nick Bosa had 2 season-ending knee injuries in college. They took him with the second overall pick. He had a great rookie year. Second game of the season, his sophomore year, he was out for the rest of the year with a torn ACL. Do you think San Francisco fans gave up on him? I'll tell you what, Jets fans would have. Why the hell would we want Nick Bosa now? Why? I don't understand you fucking people.
John says Sam Darnold and Jamal Adams. It's hard not to agree with him, right? Knobcraft drops in, says, do you guys remember when we traded up in the second round to snatch Hackenberg? Did we actually trade up? I thought we just picked him with our pick.
We traded up for Petty, though.
Yeah, and he says, that's my favorite draft memory. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Knob. Christian Hackenberg is the legitimate reason why we are what we are right now. That pick might have been the worst pick in Jets draft history because it prevented us from taking either Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes the next year, and then forced us to trade 3 second-round picks to take Sam Darnold. And it just created an avalanche of horrible decisions after that. So, man, that is a draft decision I hope I don't have to remember too much longer, because we are going to have all our success coming right now. Daniel says, rather send 10 for Deebo, and if they want more, they can pick what they want from next year. Rather keep our seconds and thirds since we got a little more inside info after coaching the Senior Bowl. Yeah, I agree. I would give up number 10, and I don't think anyone else is giving up more than what the Jets would have. Like, if the Jets gave up number 10, I don't think there's another pick out there or another team out there that's giving up more than that. And I think San Francisco fans probably understand that. Matt, I know we got to let you go, so give us your thoughts here.
Yeah, I could kind of see that. Like, that makes sense. They should be able to theoretically find that value. And if you do trade 10, maybe then you move out of 4 and then you pick up that extra first rounder for next year, and then you're on your merry way to getting all that fancy draft capital that everyone loves so much back. But yeah, I'm not afraid to move pick 10 for a guy like Deebo Samuel. This is the reason why you have all these draft capital in the first place. Your rookie quarterback is making pennies on the dollar comparatively to other quarterbacks. Now's the time to get aggressive and pay someone like a wide receiver or a weapon big time money, because you don't have to pay a quarterback $40 million a year.
And some money.
All right, let's do it. We'll do it again on Thursday, boys. I'm with you all Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So.
Dude, I love it, Matt. I can't wait to watch the draft with you guys. It's going to be so exciting. Matt, you have been
Larry.
ejected from Talking Jets.
You're out of here!
All right, Green Bean. I want to hear your thoughts. I just clicked off of it. Daniel says he'd rather trade number 10 for Deebo and keep our second and third round picks after coaching the Senior Bowl. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think like the way I would look at it is this, is if wide receiver is what we're going to do at 10, or if we're at least strongly considering it, is Deebo Samuel better than Jameson Williams or, Garrett Wilson or whoever? I personally feel that he is. Now he's a little older, so you got that, and he comes with a $25 million plus price tag. So there's that. You have to factor that in. But like Matt just said before he left, this is the time to do it, dude. We're not spending $40 million a year on Zach Wilson. So go ahead and get him an elite weapon. And then you still got Elijah Moore and the tight ends and Michael Carter and Berrios. You still got all the guys. But now you get him somebody elite in there that teams are going to fear. So I would rather, if it's straight up 10 for Deebo, I hope Joe Douglas still works and tries to get a fourth, tries to get a something in addition to Deebo. But yeah, man, if that's what it boils down to, 10 for Deebo, do it. That's what I would say. And then keep your later picks for the same reason that was said.
I love it. Marcus, thank you so much. Drops in with the $20 super chat. Says, your thoughts on Jets going edge, Thibodeau or Johnson at 4, and wide receiver Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson, or Treylon Burks at 10, then trading up into the first. For Trevor Penning, I think he's Joe Douglas's guy. Long arms, athletic, effing nasty. So, I like edge at 4. I prefer Johnson. I have no problem if they go Thibodeau because I trust our judgment on all the scouting process stuff. Wide receiver at 10. If we're going wide receiver at 10, I'd rather offer that for Deebo. And if they say, nope, we're not doing it for 10, take your wide receiver. I think that's fine. Or go a different position and take receiver in the second round. As far as trading back up for Trevor Penning, I think you're going to have to trade so far up into the first. I wouldn't do it. If he's there at the end of the first, by all means, I'd be okay with that at that point. Green Bean, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think you said it perfectly. I'm with you. Now, let's say that what you said doesn't happen and Trevor Penning is there at pick 30, 31 or something like that. Then you can consider it. But I think, dude, there are some really good third, fourth round tackles that I honestly think within a year can be starters, man. Like I don't think it's like you said before, Ryan, and I really do believe this. Like it's all well and good to settle into an organization and use your first pick on a tackle, then use your next pick on a guard. Like I love it. I'm with you 100%. But at some point, we got to spread that premium wealth around to the rest of the team. And you, with offensive line being your strength, Joe Douglas, you should be able to find us offensive linemen in the 3rd to 6th round. You should be able to do that. I'll remind everybody, most of the free agent offensive linemen that we were clamoring over before free agent started, James Daniels, Kappa, all these guys, they're 4th round picks, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th round picks. That's what they are. We happened to sign the 1st round pick in Laken Tomlinson, but most of the guys that we're looking at, tight ends, tackles, guards, they're all mid-round picks. We got to start being able to do that. Like guys like Tyler Smith, Darian Kennard, like those kinds of guys, man, Godecki, these are guys that if you bring them on, they're not ready to start right now. But if you bring them on in the 4th round, you leave them behind Fant and Becton for a year, you work them, they know the system. So when you got to make a decision next year, they're ready to start. And I think that would be a better way to go than losing draft capital or using premium draft capital on a position that we already have players. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. We'll get to some other ones in just a second. Mumtaz dropped in with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Mumtaz. Says, ESPN did detailed analysis on DVOA the last 10 plus years and determined who has gotten most value. Unsurprisingly, the Jets got the least value by a mile. Joe Douglas's 2020 draft is only one slightly positive, which is shocking to me. Everything before the 2020 draft was horrible, and the 2020 draft, a lot of us are kind of looking at it and being like, Joe Douglas, what the hell did you do? Because we had injuries, with Becton, Mims isn't playing, all that good stuff. So let's go there, Green Bean. What do you think about the Jets not getting top value out of their draft picks.
I mean, is it surprising? I mean, these are the articles. It's like, when we see this stuff, it's nice to see it like made official. But did anybody in this chat, there's 667 of you guys out there. There's Ryan right here and me. I can't imagine too many of us weren't aware of how bad it was. Now, we might not have had the DVOA numbers, but shit, man, I would watch those drafts and think, why? Like every pick, what? Like I'm looking at who's on the board, like, oh yeah, we can get this guy. And it's like, what? Fucking Blake Cashman? Ja'Kai Polite, like, why are we doing this? And I did that every single year. There was a handful of players throughout the years that I liked. Other than that, man, the guys I picked, most of them went on to have great careers, and for some reason the Jets got nothing. And it's because we've had accountants and losers running this organization. And hopefully that's over. I feel like it is. Let's see. This is a big draft for us, Ryan. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, dude. This is going to set up our franchise or crush us for the next bunch of years. Brian Scantleberry drops in and says, what if Deebo doesn't want to sign an extension with the Jets and that's why the trade hasn't happened? I would be very surprised if that were the case, because I think he liked playing with Laken Tomlinson. He knows Saleh. He knows LaFleur. Look, if there's any thought that he's not going to sign an extension with the Jets just aren't going to offer the trade. It's just not going to happen. So, Green Bean, any thoughts? Do you think Deebo may not want to sign an extension with the Jets?
I wonder, Ryan. I think about this all the time when guys like Pauline say it's a done deal and Deebo doesn't want to play in San Fran. Does he really want to come here? Like, does he? Is he one of those guys like Bryce Hall and CJ Mosley were talking about last year? Do you want to be part of something great and help us build something from scratch? Is Deebo that guy? Like, does he not mean? I'll tell you what, if he's not willing to sign that extension upon the trade, then you don't do it. No way. You know what I mean? So I don't know, maybe Deebo Samuel is the exact character that we want, and he loved LaFleur and Saleh. Maybe he wants to go back with his old coaching group. Maybe he didn't like Kyle Shanahan. He liked Becton and LaFleur. Who knows, right?
Yeah, dude. I think there is so much smoke to us getting Deebo, and it just fits so well. We need a wide receiver in the worst way, and it just feels like that's going to be, a done deal. So I hope we see it happen in the next few days here. It would be absolutely awesome. I want to see it happen on draft day. I don't want to see it happen before that. I want draft day to happen and the Jet fans just go friggin' bananas. Brandon B drops in, says passing on Jameson Williams is passing on Randy Moss. I'm not sure about that. I like Jameson Williams a lot. Minus the injury for sure, but I don't know if he would have been on Randy Moss's level. Randy Moss was like one of the most elite prospects to come out in a long time. Kevin C says Samini mocked for the Jets. Icky at 4. I hate that so much. The O-line is the least of our worries at the moment. It would be GM negligence. Yeah, dude. I think Samini is getting people fired up for the draft, knowing that's not the pick. I would be very surprised if we took O-line in the top 10. Green Bean, What do you think about Samini's pick here?
I wouldn't be surprised as much as maybe some other people. I don't think they're going to do that. But the reason that it wouldn't surprise me is twofold. One is I think that Joe Douglas, if there really is a best player available and that player happens to be Icky or Neal or Cross for that matter, if it happens to be that guy's so much better than the next guys on their board, then they're not afraid to do that. Again, like Joe Douglas said, a luxury today is a necessity tomorrow, right? So we know that. And look, we don't know how the negotiations have been going with George Fant. We've heard that they were working on an extension since the middle of the year. So maybe Joe Douglas already knows Fant is gone. Maybe they do know that Becton's going to be moved. I mean, so it would say more to me than just that. But I do think they're not afraid to take a position if it's really a best player situation. I think that could end up that way too. But I think I would be surprised. I'd be disappointed in some respects too. But I don't know, man. It could happen. I think I'm just slap happy anymore, Ryan.
I hear you. T.A. Rugg, thank you so much for becoming the newest member of the Jets Talk 24/7 family, brother, boys and girls in the chat. Drop some JETS for our newest member, T.A. Rugg. Thank you so much. Jake drops in, says, I'd give up 10 for Deebo, not 35, 38, and 69. I value those picks higher once we lock up an edge. Yeah, I'm the same way. I was partial for like, oh, hey, I want to keep the top, number 4 and number 10 because they're elite players, and I'd rather give up both seconds. And to an extent that I'm still almost there. Like, I could give up both seconds if that was what would get it done. But if I had to give up 10 and nothing else, I'm okay with that, especially if they were thinking wide receiver at number 10 anyway. So, yeah, Greenbean and I are both on Deebo for 10 if you can get it done. Who we got? We got CE. CE dropped in, said, speaking of Keyshawn, doesn't it blow your minds, that there's more Keyshawn Johnson merch for sale than 𝐒𝐫𝐞, and why such a limited selection of retired greats? I got this jersey of Nick Mangold from our good buddy Sack Exchange,
right?
Because I couldn't find a jersey anywhere. Like, I was looking all over for that Mangold jersey, and I agree. I think you should be able to buy the Jet Great jerseys from our website. There's no reason not to. I think the Jets are. I don't know. Maybe it's setting a premium on those types of jerseys. I don't know. What do you think the rationale is for not being able to get them?
I think that they're trying to strong arm us into buying what they want us to buy. They're missing an opportunity, because I agree with you. We should be able to go to the Jets store and get a Gastineau, get a 𝐒𝐞𝐞𝐽, get a Mangold, whoever the hell we want, and we should be able to get it in the years that we want. If I want to get a Joe 𝐒𝐞𝐽 in today's shitty wings, I can do that. You know what I mean? Like, if I want to get a black Richard Todd jersey, I should be able to do that. But they want us to they're trying to make us buy what they want us to buy, which leads me to believe they've already produced a certain amount of certain things. So they want us to buy. That's what I think, Ryan. I think it's all money. And in my opinion, they're dropping the ball because, like you said, 𝐒𝐶 is one of the more popular players in our history. Keyshawn was only here 4 years, man. Like, as much as I loved Keyshawn, I was a huge Keyshawn Johnson fan. That was the jersey I wore when he was here. But dude, he's been here. He was here 4 years. 𝐒𝐶 was a warrior that stayed with us until he beat his brains in so bad that he couldn't play anymore. Like, he basically killed himself on the field for us. Why wouldn't you allow us to buy his jersey? Like, what is that?
I love �Wayne 𝐒𝐶. If you look up there, that ball is a signed �Wayne 𝐒𝐶 ball. Easily my favorite player in Jets history. Him and Nick Mangold. I love the two of them, and you should absolutely be able to get their jerseys. No questions asked. Wild Billy Boy drops in, says, if you compare any of Mike Maccagnan's drafts to our 2020 draft, 2020 would blow it out of the water, especially if Mekhi pans out, which he will. Yeah, dude, the Maccagnan drafts, what was his best pick? Is it Quinnen?
Maccagnan's got to be Quinnen.
Right? Outside of that, who else?
You could make the argument that Jamal Adams, because we got 2 firsts and then we made a 4th into a 3rd. So you can make that argument. It's there. But as far as what the player did, that part of it, the good part was Joe Douglas. I mean, as I think Jamal Adams will always be a good player, right? He's not a bad player. And even if you don't like him, you can't, if you're looking at things objectively, you can't just say people suck. But the truth is that he has been an absolute liability in coverage. He has been all over the place, and his impact has absolutely fallen short of 2 firsts and a 3rd. So that's on Joe Douglas. But the argument's there. I think another one could be Leo. Leo did end up having, 13 sacks or whatever it was in his contract year. So, there's a couple. But, dude, the guy had 5 years. Free agency and drafts. 5 years.
Tons of capital, too. He got to use all of 𝐒𝐿𝐿𝐼𝐻's capital that he left out there.
Right. 𝐒𝐿𝐿𝐼𝐻, the thing he did right was he cleaned up Tannenbaum's crazy pretzel that he twisted this organization. I mean, look, Tannenbaum sold the future for the president, and it almost worked. You got to give it to him. You got to give it to him. But 𝐒𝐿ZIC came in, and the only thing he had to do was clean up Tannenbaum and let Rex pick all the shitty players that he wanted. Yeah, and then Maccagnan was the beneficiary. He walked into a full open chest of jewels and gold coins. You know what I mean? So
he hopped into that level on Mario where you're bouncing around, you get all the coins and everything. That was
it's like
that was
it's the extra level.
Let's see. We got Marcus says we ain't getting Deebo. John Lynch said it loud and clear. One thing I'll say, Marcus, is Odell Beckham Jr. is not getting traded, and Jamal Adams is going to be a lifetime Jet. And both those things happened. So I don't think we can buy anything that Lynch is saying. I think if the player doesn't want to play for you, I don't think he is going to play for you. I think that ship has sailed for sure. Marcus drops in with another super chat and says, I think we should use some capital to trade back into the first. I'm with you, Marcus. I really am. And I would be... So my thought process is the Jets trade down from 4 after, like, the first 3 picks go not a great way for the Jets. Like, maybe it goes... I guess everyone says Walker is going to be number 1. But let's say it's, let's say Walker 1, KT 2, Sauce 3. And you wind up a situation where it's like, okay, I don't want to take an offensive lineman. Trade out of 4, get whatever you can. And then now you can hop back into the first. But that's if you don't get Deebo. I don't know if I want to trade back into the first unless there's really a player falling at a position of need.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there someone that you think you would trade back up for?
Yeah, there's a couple. Like, now, look, it depends on who we get, right? But let's say, for example, we can get from 35 to 30 for a 4th, for like pick 117.
Yes.
And you can grab Linderbaum.
Yeah.
The best center in the draft. If like for me, if I'm eyeballing Linderbaum, and I can move up for pick 117, I absolutely do it. Now, if I don't take a wide receiver and the same thing, like right before KC and Green Bay start to go back and forth, if I can go up there and let's say Garrett Wilson or Drake London or Chris Olave, or my true favorite is really Treylon Burks. That's the guy I think is going to have a fantastic career. So let's say he's still there and you can get up there for pick 111. I do it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's just it. I think the receiver for me is the biggest one, but I think there is a legit possibility that the Jets and KC were kind of talking. They allowed KC to get more picks because of Tyreek Hill and the Jets throwing some money and saying picks and this and all that, and they got the higher value for Tyreek than they would have gotten from Miami if the Jets didn't help him out. We'll help you out. We'll let you hop right in front of the Bengals to get your center.
Hey, Ryan, what if this is how deep it is?
Mm-hmm.
So last year, Joe Douglas and Andy Reid and everybody got together. They gave us LDT. We needed help. They gave us LDT. We know how that all worked out. Joe Douglas said, I'm going to get you back next offseason when you want to trade Tyreek Hill because they know they don't want to pay him and he's getting older. They want I will help raise the price for your wide receiver. And then, so we'll all work it out. And then they wash each other's hands back and forth. Now they let us jump up to get ahead of some people. As long as we don't take the player they want. Who do you want? We won't take them.
Yep.
And then we take them anyway. Yeah.
Dude, I don't think it's that crazy. Man, I got old videos playing in my ear. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, dude, I don't think it's that crazy to think about that. I think you could have... Now, I don't know if it goes that deep, but I do think there's a situation where you have that conversation like, hey, we just raised the price for Tyreek Hill for you guys. We knew he wasn't going to come here. No one else knew that, but we knew that. And now you're sitting just in front of Cincinnati. We would love to get up and get our center because they're going to snatch him at pick 31. Dude, I love it. I think it's a home run move for sure. Blitz Crew drops in, says we probably missed on too many draft picks. Rookie jerseys wouldn't sell if we had more legends. Rookie jerseys wouldn't sell if we had more legends. Maybe, I guess. Maybe. I mean, maybe there's a situation where it's like, hey, we just don't. we don't have enough players that are going on to their second contract, and guys are just like, hey, like me, I'll be honest, I have not bought another jersey since I bought Jamal Adams and Sam Darnold because I've been burned on those players. Like, I'm probably going to go out and get a Berrios jersey just because I love that he took less money to be a New York Jet. It's just that sort of stuff means a lot to me as a fan, and I want to see players want to be here. And I want to support players that want to be here. And if, buying his jersey for $100, $150, whatever it is, I think that's probably the route I'd go. Is there a player you would get a jersey of right now, Green Bean?
On our team?
Yeah.
Well, I have a Becton. Jeremy from NFL Chaos, he sent me a Becton jersey. So that would probably be the guy. I might consider like an AVT.
Yeah, that would be a good one too.
If Quinnen was as dominant as he was supposed to be, I'd love a Quinnen. Like, I like to get like linebackers and offensive lineman jerseys and shit.
I do like those almost more I don't want to say obscure jerseys, but that's why I like Mangold. Like that is like a guy.
Great one, man.
Yeah.
I'm with you too. Like, that's what it is. It's like, look, when you go to the stadium, you're going to see, 2/3 are going to be our quarterback. That's what it is. Yeah. I don't ever get a quarterback jersey. Now, I'll buy a quarterback jersey for my son because he's new, he's excited, he's a kid, you know what I mean? So I'll do that. But for me, I'm an old grump. I'm fucking grumpy, jaded old bastard, So I want like a little bit more obscure. Like, I wore Dennis Byrd for years, even before he was injured. Like, I had a Dennis Byrd jersey. I wore that in the same. Then he got paralyzed, and I wore that jersey forever. Then I got a 90 jersey that has my name on the back, and that jersey by my friends is called the Dirty Bird. So everybody knows that you're wearing the Dirty Bird. But yeah, so I like those kinds of things. Well, look, Duncan McLean says Green Bean's going to get a Yeboah jersey. If Yeboah started, he might be a guy that I would consider. I love it. That's my kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Tight end.
Thomas Cahill drops in and says, Green Bean, you think we could grab Alec Lindstrom in the 4th? That's the center from Boston College. If we don't go center with Linderbaum or Zion Johnson, that is the center I want.
Yeah, I like him. I also like Donovan West. Yeah, I would love to
Arizona
get Arizona
State. Is that right? I don't know if
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, let me double check real quick.
I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is.
The truth is that honestly, it's smearing together for me at this point in time. Like, I'm all over the fucking place. Let me just see. Donovan West, Arizona State. Right. Yep. So, yeah. So I like Donovan West. There's also been, I was turned on to Zach Tom, and I like him too, a little bit more versatile. But yeah, Tyler Linderbaum is the clear consensus number 1. And Lindstrom was the number 2. Once Jared Patterson dropped out from Notre Dame, it's been Lindstrom. In the past maybe month or a little bit more, he has dropped like a stone. And I've looked for why, and there's no reason for it. So I don't know what it is. I think it's probably fake. But yeah, I would love to get Alec Lindstrom in the 4th round. That would be a beautiful pick for me.
NY Jets says, Thursday is a new beginning. Greatness is upon us. Dude, I hope so. I can't wait. I love the draft. It's my favorite time of year. Real quick, we're jumping back over to Mutt Viles. What's up, dude? He says, hey, I can donate again. Am I the only one who won't believe and Deebo or trade news, any Deebo or trade news, unless it's from Rap Sheet? Yeah. Rappaport is the most legitimate source.
It is.
I think, like, even more so than even Schefter. But I would say the two of them would be the guys that I pay the closest attention to. And, I mean, look, if Samini comes out and he says, hey, the Jets just traded for Deebo Samuel, I'm going to believe it at that point. Like, there's a few guys I would, but, dude, Rappaport is definitely the best of the bunch.
Yeah, well, without question. I mean, he's built the network that he's the guy who gets the news. Now, Schefter is number 2, but he's had a rough year, this Adam Schefter. You know what I mean? He's made some mistakes and said some things, and he's pissed some people off, and I don't know what that means. But even up until a couple of years ago, even Glazer was pretty reliable when he said something, but he's kind of fallen off. I don't know what's up with him, but I'm with you, man. Rap Sheet is the one. When Schefter says it, It's 99 and 44th, 100% of the time, not changing. That's what it is. That's the news. So all these other guys, you'll see, Samini, Hughes, they make shit up, and then when it's real, they go reported by Adam Schefter or be reported by Ian Rappaport. That's how it goes. So yeah, I'm with Mutt Files here, Ryan.
Ryan, strong name again. Green Bean could be wrong here, but didn't Rex want Odell? But unfortunately, was taken a few spots ahead of us. We had to take Pryor. We didn't have to take Pryor. That was an elite wide receiver class. Well, because Odell went before us. Rex did want Odell, and a lot of Jet fans wanted Odell too. I know I did. And,
so take
but
Brandon
I was
Cooks.
surprised. I loved the idea of the Louisville Slugger, and I loved Rex because he had just led us to 2 AFC Championship games. So look, I bought into the hype for sure, but it blew up in our face, and we should have gone with the edge or the wide receiver for sure there.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm going to be really honest, and I'll be forthcoming and transparent and tell you that I made myself believe. I bought it too. I was mad. That was the strongest wide receivers class in history up to that point, at least rumored to be. And I wanted Brandon Cooks. I thought he was absolutely going to be a Jet. They said Louisville Slugger. I said, no. Then I looked, and he's a hard hitter. And I said, okay, this wide receiver class is so deep. They know they wanted to get their best safety, and they'll get I think it was Jalen Strong I was eyeballing, and Jordan Davis. Maybe that was the next. Yeah, I think that was the draft. Jordan Davis.
That was when we took like 3. Did we take 2 or 3 receivers that year, and they were all like 4th round and later? It was like Chad Henson and like.
We started with in the 4th round. You're right. We started in the 4th. That was with Jalen Saunders. Then we took Shaq Evans.
No, Shaq Evans. There it is.
Shaq Evans from UCLA. He's never played an NFL snap. Then we took Quincy Enunwa, and then we took, I thought it was 4. Maybe it was 3.
I think it's 3. I think you're right.
Yeah. We also got, so that was, and all, I mean, Quincy Enunwa, out of everybody, if he didn't have injury concerns, he was fucking fantastic, that guy.
Dude,
I loved his game.
He was Deebo Samuel and A.J. Brown and all these guys, like Treylon Burks. He was that before that became super popular, and he just couldn't stay healthy. That's the biggest issue.
It's a bummer. It is. But, I mean, to say that Odell was gone, so we had to take Pryor, I don't know. That's just Rex being Rex. I mean, like, when you looked, 𝐒𝐿ZIC had no power. He had the power to manage the contracts and all that stuff. You know, Rex wants nothing to do with the numbers. But as far as players, dude, that was Rex. All Rex.
Oh, 100%. Jake drops in, says, Tanny let Rex pick all the toxic players he wanted. The nerd couldn't stand up to the bully. 𝐒𝐿ZIC was just the only clown to sign up for round 2.
That's right. That's it. He's 100% right.
Rex was a very loud, boisterous kind of guy, and I love him for a lot of things that he did for the New York Jets. But if we had a GM with a backbone, like if you gave him Joe Douglas for the entirety of his career, I think we win a Super Bowl with Rex. I think there would have been a situation. Like, I think Douglas has the backbone.
Yeah. Well, I think that first 2, see, like, here's the thing with Tanny, and you can totally see the difference in Tannenbaum with Mangini and the difference, because don't forget, Tannenbaum was an accountant. So the idea that he knew player talent at the time, look, he's in the NFL circle, so of course he knows something. He's working with Parcells and everybody. But Mangini's picks were Revis, David Harris, Nick Mangold, DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Leon Washington, Brad Smith, Marcus
Dustin
Coleman.
Keller. Yeah.
Right. All those guys. So then he goes to Rex and he picks Kyle Wilson. And then his next first is, I don't know,
Muhammad Wilkerson.
Muhammad Wilkerson, then Quentin Cobbles. And all these guys that had these reputations with him. Then he gets rid of Kotchery and Brad Smith and Braylon Edwards and brings in Plaxico Burress from jail and Derek Mason. I mean, there was a systematic deconstruction of a well-built team. And like you said, if that was Joe Douglas, it doesn't happen like that. Joe Douglas is the boss, but we can't forget how much control Rex had when he was here. The owner loved him. You know what I mean? Loved him. So much so that he let Tannenbaums fall on the sword and then, said whoever comes has to take this coach. It was doomed to failure. Now, we all hoped. I hoped. But
Sure.
Tannenbaum wasn't the problem. He was just the guy. He wasn't able to fix it. You know what I mean? That's all it was. But Tannenbaum did some great trades, man. You got to give Tanny credit
Dude,
where
I
credit
love the
is due.
Cromartie trade. The Cromartie trade was great. Second round pick for a guy that.
Is that your favorite one? Is that your favorite trade?
I think so.
You know
Actually,
which
no,
one I
Thomas
like?
Jones. Thomas Jones I like a lot.
That was a
Love
goodie.
Thomas Jones. Yeah.
I liked Chris Jenkins. That was my favorite trade.
That was a good. I loved Chris Jenkins.
Hell
he was
yeah.
great. I wish he could have stayed healthy.
Good.
He was
I
a fun
know.
Jet to watch.
Dude, he was a man amongst boys, bro.
Don Tiki.
Unbelievable. Sorry.
Don Tiki drops in. Says, people saying that they'd rather trade the 10th pick rather than the 2 seconds for Deebo, but couldn't we trade back from 10 and recoup mid to late first and a second? I struggle to think we can trade out of 10. I really do. And I think if the Jets are thinking about using 10 on a wide receiver, I would trade it for Deebo every single time. There's no way I would take any of these wide receivers over Deebo Samuel at 10. Now, I do think there's a realistic shot we trade out of 4 and we get a bunch more picks, and then it helps lessen the blow of trading number 10 or a pick in general for Deebo. I think you could trade out of 4 and wind up getting, say, like 16 and 19 and trade 16 and maybe like a third or something along those lines for Deebo. Green Bean, what are your thoughts here?
Well, on the trade back, I totally get it with Don Tiki's super chat. Hey, what's up, Boy Green? What's up, buddy? It's good to see you. It's good to see you in here.
Oh, Boy Green's going to be hanging out with us for a little bit on one of the days of the draft. We're excited to have you, dude.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm excited. Boy Green, did you see the little trailer that we made? You're in it.
Oh, you should totally look at it. It was at the very beginning of the stream.
Yeah. But I think like what Don Tiki's saying, it's like, I get it that if you trade the 2 seconds, then you can use 10 to trade back, and you already got your wide receiver in Deebo, so you don't have the pressure. You can trade back to the middle of the round, grab a Devin Lloyd or a Linderbaum, whoever you want. And yes, that's possible too. But Joe Douglas has a better idea of whether or not there's actually a trade market. I mean, look, all we hear about is trading back. You got to remember the other half of that is somebody wanting to trade up. If you think we know that the top end is a little bit less spectacular than usual in this draft and other teams don't, then, I mean, there's always going to be players that people fall in love with and they're willing to trade up for, but it's, are they willing to give you a trade that's worth it? So if you can just give 10, which is nice and easy, you were going to use it on Garrett Wilson anyway. And you're if that's the case, and you go and just grab Deebo Samuel, and then you just let the second round come to you. You got 2 basically essentially late firsts. That's just cleaner to me. I get what Don Tiki's saying, and yes is the answer. You can do that, but again, it's like very simple. It's like this, Don. When you got 4th and inches, and you see offensive coordinators like Brian Schottenheimer doing, all like a complex play with a pass, like throwing it back to the running back, then the running. It's like, dude, it's inches. Give the ball to the running back and let him barrel for inches. Like there's less complexity. It's easier to get 3 inches by taking the ball and handing it to a 240-pound monster than it is to get the ball to the quarterback step back, throw it to this guy, have him throw it. There's a lot that it's too complex to achieve the same goal. So
it's like having a bunch of connectors in with your wires. It's better to have one long wire than a bunch of connectors to get to the same distance.
There's another way to look at it. I like that. Nice and clean. So yes, you can do that. Again, one just seems clean and more simple, and that's usually the best option.
Sorless drops in. He says, you think we take the 6'6" tackle from North Dakota State late? I hope we take a tackle late and have a developmental guy that can replace Fant after the season if we don't wind up re-signing him. Marcus drops in, says, where are we going with picks 35 and 38? If we say edge at 4, wide receiver in some capacity, or a trade for Deebo at 10, I would go safety and linebacker in the second, personally. Joe drops in, says, if Dean, Linderbaum, Burks, Karlaftis, and Lloyd fell either to the late first to trade up or for simply to 35, who would you most want to trade up for? Dean, Linderbaum, Burks, Karlaftis, Lloyd. So it depends if we got our receiver, because if they really like Treylon Burks, I'm with Greenbean. I think end of the first is kind of where he winds up going. If we didn't go edge and Karlaftis is there, I'm totally fine jumping up to that. If we have settled edge and wide receiver at 4 and 10, then between Dean, Linderbaum, and Lloyd, it depends if Zion Johnson is also still there for me. Because if Zion Johnson is there, then I think Linderbaum and Zion, one of those two would make it to 35, and I'm cool with either one of them.
That's a good point.
I would prefer Lloyd or Dean in that situation, but I completely understand if you go with the center because it helps Zach Wilson. So that's my thought. Greenbean, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there. And Fally, yeah, like that's the thing. Like the truth is that Linderbaum is definitely the cleanest, most pro-ready center in the draft. But that doesn't mean that Zion Johnson and Donovan West and Cole Strange and some of these guys are not going to be great. That's not what that means. So if you're okay with a Zion Johnson, so if it gets to the end of the draft and Linderbaum and Zion are still there and you feel good about getting one, then that's good news. That's good news if that's what you're shooting for. That said, I got to say, I'm hoping for Kayvon Thibodeau up top, but I got to tell you, my next guy, Hutchinson is my number one, but if not, my next guy is Karlaftis. So I'm really happy with Karlaftis. If he falls, I would love to grab him. I really would.
He strikes me as a great complement to a healthy Carl Lawson. I think that's where I am on Karlaftis. So if he's there, I don't have a problem going up against him. I just think we should get our edge in the top 10. NY Jets, what's up, dude? Thank you for the super chat. He says, Ryan and Greenbean, I love both your shows. I want the Jets to draft O-line and Linderbaum. When the Jets had the best O-line, almost made the playoffs. I want the best O-line in the NFL. I think that's possible this year. I really do.
Yeah.
And I think the Jets could replace McGovern at center and still have that same type of success. I think this is a top 10 O-line all day, and it should not be the issue for why we're winning or losing games. Our team should ride on Zach Wilson and the talent we put around him at the skill positions. And then obviously you have to help out the defensive side of the ball, because if you're giving up 30 points a game, you're not going to win many games. So Greenbean, what do you think? O-line early in this draft?
Well, this is the thing. I agree 100% with what 24 is saying. Yes, when you have a dominant O-line, everything seems to work out better, right? Your running game is better. The quarterback is calmer, cooler, collected. Therefore the receivers do better. Everything is great. But that doesn't mean that you have to use 3 consecutive first-round picks on the offensive line. We have now. We have Becton, who's a first-round pick. We have AVT, who's a first-round pick. We have Laken Tomlinson, who's a first-round pick. I forget where Connor McGovern and I think Fant
Connor
might have
McGovern,
been
top 10 center. Laken Tomlinson, Pro Bowls, left guard.
Yeah.
Left guard. Left guard. Yeah. Words are hard.
Yeah, left guard.
Yeah.
Right. And we've been kind of saying this for a while. It's I hate to be bent out of shape if we use premium capital on the offensive line, right? It's hard to be angry at that. At the same time, we have a lot of holes on this team, and it just so happens that offensive line isn't currently one of them. So now questions maybe, sure. So you go ahead and you bring in a Darian Kennard or Rashid Wallace, some of these other guys, and you let them, you develop them from the 3rd to 5th round, because we don't have a 6th. So you develop these guys, bring them in, and because we have an offensive line that is capable of doing great things, man. That's the truth. And don't forget, guys, the first half of last year, even with the guys we had, It's a complex system. They didn't understand it. They were clearly all over the place. As the season moved on, they settled down. And it got better and better and better each week. Then the injuries started coming. We lost McGovern. We lost ABT. And all that. So, I mean, look, at the last game of the year, we were starting Feeney, McDermott, and who the hell was the other guy? I think we were starting Ross Pierschbacher. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's what we were looking at. So I think it's important to have depth and everything, and I'm 100% with that. We need our offensive line. The problem is I think you also need other things, and we happen to have the offensive line. So let's support it, not necessarily use premium capital on it this year.
Scott Wilson, thank you so much, brother, says, what is the drop-off from edges available at 10 compared to 35 like 𝐒𝐫𝐞𝐞𝐧 and Bonito? I like Bonito a lot. He's a 2-point stance guy, so I don't think he fits the Jets scheme specifically. But that's just it. It's like if the Jets saw enough out of the Senior Bowl with like Boye Mafe, players like that, Perion Winfrey, then maybe they're okay passing on an earlier one. I don't buy it. I really like the top 5 edge rushers in this class, and I think you should come away with one of those guys in that top 10. Is there would you be okay foregoing an edge rusher at the top of this draft for a second round guy? How do you feel about that, Green Bean?
I really hope that we don't do that, man. And I like 𝐒𝐫𝐞𝐞𝐬𝐫, and I think he's talented enough to be able to develop into a 4-3 hand in the dirt guy. He is projected to be a 3-4 guy. Like that's the best case for him to have an immediate impact is to be drafted to a 3-4 team. Mm-hmm. But I think he's talented enough. If you go back and watch his tape and then his combine, he's a very fluid, like he just looks naturally smooth and comfortable in his motions, which isn't the case with everybody. Some guys look really stiff, and he doesn't look like that. He looks very fluid. So I think he's very talented. I would love to see him I would love having a player like him, but he's going to be mid to late second round. And it's going to take him a while to get there for us. I would hate to forego edge rusher up top and then hoping that 𝐒𝐫𝐞𝐞𝐬𝐫 is going to be the guy. You know what I mean? Like,
yep,
and if we
grabbed
KT and 𝐒𝐫𝐞𝐞𝐬𝐫 because he slipped, great.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Sure. But like if he slipped to the third, that'd be fine. But you got to give that guy time to change over to 4-3, put on maybe 10 more pounds, that kind of stuff. That's my thoughts.
Multivitamins drops in with another super chat. Says, I always like Rap Sheet. Also, last thing on it, I sent you the full Becton donation. If you want to read it off stream, love the stream. Can't wait for the draft and for the draft streams from Thursday to Saturday. Mutt Viles, where did you send that? Did you send that to us on Twitter or Instagram? I'll read it right now. Let's see. Oh, got it. Okay. All right. So I got it here. It's from Twitter. He says, sup, guys. Happy draft week. Want to get something off my chest. Can we please stop writing off Becton and buying into these O-line picks at 4 to replace him? Becton dominated as a rookie and was hurt last season. All these BS reports of him not caring about ball and being overweight are ridiculous. If JD didn't believe in Becton, he would have been traded for a first rounder by now. We have more holes to be filled in, like, I don't know, edge, safety, wide receiver 1, heck, cornerback 1. I like 𝐒𝐿. He is a stud of an offensive lineman, but we got our dominant guy in Becton. He's going to come back and destroy every edge rusher coming after Zach Wilson this season. Draft edge at 4. My favorite is KT unless Sauce is on the board. At 10, trade it for Deebo, or draft any wide receiver except Drake London, or trade back and go linebacker or center. Can't wait for the draft. Screw the BS reports on Becton, and go Jets. 11-7, wild card team. He says, sorry for the novel, but this was the whole super chat. I wanted to send it before it wouldn't let me. Yeah, dude, absolutely. Dude, I much appreciated. We'll read anything you send us, all the time. It really, really means a lot. Dude, we're right there with you. Becton was such an impressive player his rookie year. It would be a damn shame to draft an offensive lineman with the thought of trading him for like a late first or a second round pick. I would lose my cool if that happened. Green Bean, what are your thoughts on the topic?
Wait, you lose your cool. What was the exact scenario?
I would lose my cool if we drafted an offensive lineman in the first round just to trade Becton after seeing all the promise he had in his first year for like a late first, early second rounder. It would just burn me up inside.
Yeah, well, you know what, though? I tend to agree with you, but I have to say, again, like I complained about earlier, if Saleh can't get past his dislike, and this is just if, hypothetical, if he doesn't like Becton, doesn't really think he's the guy for the team, and they can get a first for him this year, then do it. And just let's clean this already, because clearly the beat and everybody, there's just too much crap around this poor guy. And I don't know why. Like Kevin sees, Becton is lazy and fat. Again, Kevin, that's been debunked numerous times. It's just a unfounded report from either Connor Hughes, Rich Cimini, or Tony Pauline. Every time that shit's come out, we've seen workout videos or pictures of him that day. He's not overweight, he's not fat, and he's never been known as lazy. He's actually known as a very, very hard worker. So it's just, we're just buying into this shit with the beat. But so I would be upset by it too. I would, because I happen to like him as a player. But I think if that is the scenario, rather than like, watch them kind of dance around, whatever, and Becton second string and all this shit. Then we got Becton second string behind Neal and or Icky, and then Fance over. I don't. Rather than all that bullshit and a constant shitstorm all year, I would just rather, if somebody said, "Hey, I'll give you pick 20 for him right now, 26." Just fucking take it. If that's the way they feel, take it, clean it, and let's move on.
Yeah, look, okay. So if they are fed up with him and they think they can get a first, then fine. But I would be so burnt up to take a tackle in the top 4. It would burn me up. It really would. I want Becton to be the guy. I really do. And I understand fans' concern, but I'd be so upset if we gave up on him after a year and a half. Not even a full season of games we got from him. Travis drops in, says, I had to get Michael Carter jersey last year and Corey Davis. I do like Michael Carter a lot. I like Elijah Moore a lot too. Like, I really like last year's draft class, and I would get any one of the top 4 picks jerseys. And that's not to say I wouldn't get like Michael Carter 2 or something like that, but I've always loved the running back position. I really like the dynamic between Elijah Moore and Michael Carter. It's something fun to watch. And AVT is an offensive lineman. I love the offensive line jerseys. Quarterback scares me until they get their second contract. that would be my thought process.
Michael Carter was injured 3 times last year. I don't know if I'm buying a jersey for that. I love Michael Carter. Love him.
Running back's going to happen early this year. It's going to happen second or third round, I think.
I wouldn't be surprised. If you have the opportunity, like let's say, look, clearly they're committing to a specific style of offense. Brought in the guard, who's known as a mauler, by the way. Went out there and look, they did the Senior Bowl with all the tight ends. Everybody said, oh, they love this guy, that guy. They went in free agency and brought in 2 free agent tight ends anyway, because they didn't want to dance around. They didn't want to play with it for whatever the reason. Maybe they don't like the tight end as much as we think, whatever. They went out and got 2 tight ends in free agency. So they're committing to something. Now they brought back Tevin Coleman. He is what he is. We have Michael Carter. They still got P. Ryan and Austin Walter and all that. But dude, if they're committing to this 12, 21, 22 personnel package thing, the idea of getting the top running back in the class, if it's Breece Hall, if it's Spiller, or whoever you like, up there, if it's Kenneth Walker, the idea of getting their number 1 running back versus maybe the 3rd or 4th linebacker on their board or the 5th or 6th wide receiver on their board, it might make sense to do so. It might. Now, these regimes, whether it's Joe Douglas or the 49ers, they're not known for taking running backs high. They've never done it. And like we saw, Joe Douglas has 2 straight 4th-round running backs. So it would be out of character. But, dude, there's a logic to be said there. You know what I mean? There's an argument.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think you look for the guys that run a sub 4.40. That's kind of the Shanahan MO. And dude, I like Breece Hall. I really like James Cook. James Cook is the one I would like. If we can get him in the third, that's my guy, I think. Let's see. We got Austin Berry. Austin Berry drops in, says, sending love, my guys. Do me a solid before Friday. Check out Cam Jurgens, center out of Nebraska. He's so raw, but came to UNL as a tight end. He's a freak and nasty. When you say a guy named Jurgens is raw, it makes me chuckle. So, sorry, Jurgens the hand lotion.
Oh, is raw. Okay, I didn't even find it. I was looking. I was like,
sorry. I'm
well done. Well
done. You know anything about Jurgens at all? Not the lotion.
Yeah, I know I like Jurgens. I like Jurgens. I tell you, this is a funny thing. His nickname in college was Beef Jurgens.
I did not know that.
Beef jerky. Yeah. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Mitt Flair drops in, says, what grade do you realistically think you would give Joe Douglas by the end of this draft? I guess by the end of this, we can see if he did better or worse. I'm going to give him an A+ right now because he's got so many picks and so many options at his disposal. I think it will be an A. I think the Jets are absolutely going to win this draft. Green Bean, totally preemptively. What grade do you think Joe Douglas is getting this year?
A.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Don't need any more from that. Mumtaz drops in, says, I don't know why we don't distinguish outside linebacker from D-end anymore. I want to upgrade from Quincy Williams to Mafe, Jackson, Bonito, 𝐒𝐫𝐞𝐞𝐳 in the second. Also need inside linebacker badly. I get the feeling they like Quincy Williams, and I think at the very least, if you can try to hold on to him and give him a shot to be at least one of your guys, maybe there's a situation where you kind of ink Quinn in a little bit earlier. And even if Quincy is just a role player, maybe he's not your starter, but he's like a rotational guy. I'd be fine with that. The dude hits like a friggin' brick shithouse.
He'd be a great role player. Think about him on every special teams and then maybe 15 defensive snaps a game. He would be thunderous. Which when you have him out there getting exposed in coverage all day, that's the guy you want in very specific packages, running like a missile. I think he's a great asset on the team. I don't think he's a starter. Now, I could be wrong. We've only seen him 1 year, but boy, oh boy, did he get exposed in pass coverage, man. It was ugly. Now, he showed enough for what he does do well. He does it very well. But I don't know. I'd like an upgrade. I'd like to know, for fuck's sake already. Can we get some good linebackers on this team? What is this? Jordan Jenkins. I'm sick of it. I want studs. I want guys, enforcers, Ryan. I want enforcers. That
is why I want Nakobe Dean. I think he is a violent hitter. Lloyd would be the same kind of player for me. There's a lot of linebackers I like in this draft, and I do think it's a second-round need for the New York Jets. Is that kind of where you're thinking with linebacker?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think I prefer Devin Lloyd, but I also like Leo Chanel. Like, I love him, dude. And yes, he's got stuff to work on too. Like, they're going to have to do some stuff with him. But what he does well in like 2/3 of the game, he is amazing at it. And the thing is, when you look at guys that need to fix a piece of their game, one aspect of the game, what's the first thing you look for? Their work ethic. He's through the roof. So he's the exact guy that you want to bring in and say, okay, we got to work on this one thing with you. Once he gets it, which is not going to take long, he's going to be one of the best linebackers in the NFL. So I would love to bring him in the second if he makes it that long. Oh my God, that's the guy, a 260-pound guy that can keep up with all the tight ends, all the running backs, and rip their heads off. He does not miss tackles, man. Once he's there, you're done. And that's what I like. And they go backwards. They're supposed to go backwards. Just go and watch little clips of our defense in 1998, 99, 2000, like when with Parcells, with Marvin Jones, Mo Lewis, and Brian Cox. Watch how they play every single down. When there's they run in full speed. It doesn't matter who's in their way. They crush the the pile. That's what you need. We haven't seen that in far too long, man. Far too long. We need studs. Bart Scott was that way too for 2 years. He was another one. He would take on the guard without a second thought. The guard's pulling, kill him, and then so the next guy can make the tackle. That's what you do. Marvin Jones did that. Mo Lewis did that. Brian Cox did that. And we haven't seen that, man, in 10 years, 11 years. I'm sick of it. I don't want Quincy fucking Williams, man. I want a stud. I want Leo Chanel. I want Devin Lloyd, Nicole. I want somebody who's a premium linebacker. It changes the whole defense. You know what I mean?
Dude,
hey, Ryan, before we go, but just
yeah.
let me, Ryan, before we go, I want to play you something. So if you let me share the screen, just before we go, I want to play you something I made today about linebackers, no less. Short, 50 seconds.
We definitely will. We got a few more super chats to get through, so we got a little bit here. You got a little bit more time here?
I'm good. I just wanted to say that before we got into the other thing, and then we ended up going. I just want to play it for you guys before we go.
I love it. I love it. I got Nightbot picking some qualifiers for us because I have forgot to actually do that at the beginning. Not the beginning, but throughout. So right now, I got Jake, Eddie McGuire, Rob V, John Negron, Socrates Johnson, Me Wiseman, Edward Stewart, Champ to God, Mutt Viles, Hot Sauce Pod are the qualifiers right now. I'm going to get through some more. Knob Craft drops in, says, I may be biased because I've been cooking for him, but Alex Wright from UAB would be a great late round developmental pick for a hybrid D-end outside linebacker. So I get the feeling we're going defense earlier in this draft and then kind of doing a scatter shot on offense for depth, almost the opposite of what we got last year. So I'll be honest, I don't know Alex Wright. I wish I could really, provide a little more intelligent insight into him. Let me pull up his draft profile real quick.
Alex I'm so fucking hot, Ryan. I'm cooking over here. I don't know what it is.
That's all right.
The AC back on. I had a sweatshirt, my hat. Everybody's making fun of me. They're like, dude, you all right?
So let's see. Alex Wright draft profile, 6'7", 270-pound defensive end out of UAB. One should never deal with absolutes, but when speaking about prospects, but often when watching highly regarded small school prospects with weaker schedules, you want to see these prospects dominate or at least stand out from their counterparts. And when those prospects do have tougher tests, you have to see if they belong. Wright was never overwhelmed by the competition at UAB, but even in games against BYU, Georgia, teams with more offensive line talent, Wright proved he belonged. And while he doesn't have double-digit sacks or tackles for loss, Wright was consistently disruptive against weaker opponents. More importantly, he has traits that can be molded at the next level. So while I haven't watched any tape on him at all, I would say this sounds like a player that you would absolutely want to take a swing on a little bit later in this draft. Green Bean, any thoughts on Alex Wright or anything that I just sort of rattled off right here?
Yeah. Well, I forget who it was, but they were talking about Alex Wright a couple weeks ago, and I looked into him. I like Alex Wright. He would be a fantastic double up, like later in the draft at the edge position. I think he would be fantastic. Like, he's going to need some work. He's rough around the edges, and he's going to have that NFL adjustment period. But yeah, I think he's a fantastic player. Like you just read too, I heard the beginning of that. When you look at a player from a smaller school, how do they look compared to that talent, right? Like, are they dominating? Like, that's number one. If they're dominating, then you got something to look at. If they're not, if they're just good and they're playing lower talent, then they're going to have a long road ahead of them. Alex Wright was very, very good. And I think he's an interesting prospect.
So I just saw an interesting comment. Keith Knowles goes, LOL, I got pulled over for listening to your podcast. You must have had the YouTube one on and had it on your dash and they're watching this guy's watching TV while he's going. I hope you didn't get a ticket, brother.
I doubt they pulled you over for listening to, maybe while listening to the podcast.
Watching the podcast makes a little more sense.
Right. Yeah.
Well, We appreciate it nonetheless. If you guys do want to catch this, we do actually upload this in podcast form. So all your favorite podcast platforms, you can listen to this the following day if you don't want to kill your phone battery. So that is an option for you guys as well. Jackson Gardner drops in, says 5 seconds to choose Deebo for 10, yes or no. It's a yes for me, especially if we're going to go wide receiver at 10. Anyway, Green Bean, your thoughts. Deebo for 10, yes or no?
Yeah, I would do it. Again, I would definitely try to get a fourth, a fifth too. Because again, you look at guys like Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, much more longevity as far as their production in the NFL, and they both got traded for right around the 13th to 15th pick. So why does Deebo garner more? So say, okay, look, I'm thinking we'll give you 10 for Deebo, and you give me your 4th round pick. Let's do that. I think it's like 120 or something like that.
Jake says, who wants to listen to the audio when we don't get to see the beard or the chat?
That's what I'm saying.
See, that's just it. You bring the beauty when you watch the actual video, and I think it adds a little context to what we're doing, even though we're not really showing a whole heck of a lot.
Right.
Well, yeah, you never know. Some guys don't want to burn their phone up.
Yeah, totally. But look, a lot of guys want to see me having a heart attack. The guys in the car. At least now, if you're watching, you can see how fucking red my face is. It's hot in here. I just turned the AC on. I feel so good. It's like,
I'm starting to. You could kind of see it. I'm starting to peel a little bit. I had our baby shower this past weekend, and then we went to a brewery the following day, and I got cooked. I was not expecting such nice weather, and it knocked the snot out of me. Brian drops in. Brian says, Jets beat will never change. Reminds me of when Manish would make up a story and everybody else would report on his fake report.
Totally.
Look, I'm not a huge fan of the beat. And there are times that I think Samini and Hughes and those guys kind of, just throw shit at the wall to see if it sticks. Now, Hughes less so than Samini. Samini's kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I take a lot more things seriously from like Rappaport, from Schefter. I like Peter Schrager from NFL Network. I think he's really good. There's a lot of good guys. I don't know what you would consider, just our beat, because it sort of like all spills over into one another. I don't think there's anyone as bad as Manish. I'll put it that way. Manish was like, I hated Manish. I really did. And even as far as like DJ goes, I don't mind. Well, Daniel Jones or DJ Bieniemy, either one of those guys, I think they're both fine as well. Although I guess Jeremiah isn't really a beat reporter for us, but I think the inside knowledge with him and Douglas is good enough to be like a faux beat reporter, almost. Green Bean, your thoughts on the beat?
Look, man, I try to be as peaceful as I can, right? Like I really do. I'm as objective as I've ever been in my whole life. I always try to consider all sides to the story. Our beat, in large part, I would say 9 out of 10 things that our beat puts out are meant to aggravate us. And that's why it's aggravating, because we end up arguing with each other over shit that's not real. Like, I want to remind everybody, and I told you guys the day it happened, the A.J. Brown stuff, that was because Rich Cimini said, keep an eye on A.J. Brown because he's friends with Elijah Moore. I mean, yes, with Elijah Moore. That was it. We got so inflamed that we attacked his Twitter that the damn Titans had to put out an official statement. All because Samini sent us there to do that. He did that on purpose. So, like, I think that they're mainly full of shit. They almost never get anything right, and they never break a story. Look, we just signed Vinny Curry last week. If any, that's not even an important signing by in comparison to a lot of other stuff that's going on. It's just Vinny Curry. You're going to tell me that nobody on our beat could give us that information before it happened? Nobody. They're trying to tell us that they know Joe Douglas is thinking for pick 4, and they didn't even know that Joe Douglas was talking to Vinny Curry? Give me a break. So why would I buy into anything? They don't break anything for us. So my thoughts on the beat are that they are ill-equipped, inadequate, and unprofessional and also not all that talented. I don't think they'd have a job in any other market or any other facet of writing journalism. There you go.
I I saw what did I see in the chat? I just saw something that I wanted to make a note of. Can I find it again? I lost it. I don't know where it was. All right, Chris Bradigan. Chris Bradigan celebrates 14 months of channel membership. For every month that you're a member of the Jets Talk 24/7 family, you get a free super chat. So this is his. What is your sexy pick at 69? Whew, I see what you did there. This is going to be my third year watching the stream draft with you guys. You guys are the best. Go Jets. Thank you, Chris. It really means a lot. We have a ton of fun doing this draft. And like literally each year, because we take a little bit of a hiatus over the course of the summer, and then we wind up, coming back at the end of July to start doing all the Talking Jet stuff. And like literally at that point is when we're like, yo, I can't wait for the draft. Like I know it's like so early and you want to get excited for the season, but like we legitimately have so much fun, and it's because the chat and all you guys have so much fun with us, and just seeing the reactions and the fan energy, it's something really special. So I know Green Bean, you probably feel the same way here.
Oh yeah.
It's
fantastic. Ryan, listen to this. It's funny. I don't know if I feel like I might have even said this. Stop me if I already said it. But with the first time that we did the draft stream together, I did round one with us, and then that was my last night in my house.
Oh, that's right.
The next day, I moved out from my 3,400 square foot house into a 200-foot camper, right? So I was like checking in with you guys the second and third day.
We had a still frame of you in the jersey, or no, the coat that you were giving away.
The coat, remember? And people kept saying, "Why isn't Green Bean talking?" They didn't even know.
Why isn't he moving?
I was really here. They thought I was here standing there like this for an hour.
I love it, dude. I mean, it was the pose. You had it was something like.
It was the pose one?
You had a pose one that we put up on the screen. It was great. And we had it frozen there for at least day 2, but I think it was day 2 and 3 we had it up.
Yeah. So this year, it just so happens that I might have found a house. And so we'd have to move out of the RV. We have to put some stuff in another house. And then it just so happens that we were talking about starting, guess when? This weekend. So 2 years later, the draft again, I'm moving back into a house. It's like, it's crazy. I had to say, no, I can't do it this weekend. I cannot. I almost killed myself that weekend trying to do the draft and moving out of a house. So it's just crazy how it's worked out. I can't even believe I couldn't have planned it this way. But yeah, so I had to, with my acquired knowledge of last time, I had to say, no, can't do it this time, man. We'll do it next weekend.
Oh, dude, normally I'm working like every Saturday. That's kind of my weekend day for the golf course. And I just tell them like, it's draft weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever happens, I'm fully invested in the draft. Like, I don't care. Like, sorry guys, like everyone else can run the show. I'm paying attention to the draft. I'm here with you guys, and I just absolutely love it. So anyway, what is your sexy pick at number 69? Mine, hands down, James Cook. That's the one I want.
Well, that's funny that you say that, because I'm thinking that our sexy pick is going to be running back in the third. So it won't be all the way to the second, but it'll still be earlier than we're used to seeing for these guys. And I think it's going to be Isaiah Spiller. That's what I think it's going to be.
I do like him too. That would be phenomenal.
That would be so fun.
Johnny P. drops in. Says, 2 days. I have this deep fear that Woody is now driving the Deebo thing. And we're going to make a stupid trade and force JD to do it at all costs. I saw a tweet or something along the lines that like Woody Johnson's going to have more of a hand in this year's draft. And it frightens me, because he's doing such a great job of sitting back and letting the football guys do the football stuff. And as much as people want to give the Johnsons shit for a lot of things, the Johnsons have tried to do the right thing. They've tried to bring in the football guys. They've tried to shell out the big money and do the big trades to get the guys that our GMs and our coaches have wanted. So, like, for me, I'm hoping they don't force something, but I do think Deebo is the right move, and giving up number 10 is totally fine with me to do it. I don't want to see like something we talked about earlier, that crazy out of nowhere trade of like, hey, we're giving up 10, 35, and Elijah Moore. I would be so upset. I really like Elijah Moore, and I would not give up those 2 high picks plus a guy we took so highly that just has such a high upside.
Yeah, I gotta say, if that happened, if we traded 10, 35, and Elijah Moore for Deebo Samuel, I would instantaneously lose faith in Joe Douglas. Now, maybe not all the way. I'd have to see how it applies. But, dude, instantaneously, a lot of my confidence in him and our organization would slide right out the door. I'd be like, whoa, dude, that was your 2nd round pick last year. You traded Jamal for all these picks. And so that would be the Jamal Adams pick, the Sam Darnold pick, and our 2nd round pick last year for fucking one guy. No, it better be Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like, that's it.
Dude,
I don't know.
I'd be so irritated. I really think I would give up 10, no questions asked. If you wanted to give up 35 and 38 and you kept 10, that's fine. Any combination of 10 plus a second plus a really good player, I'd be livid. I'd be so mad if that happened.
Let me say this. I don't think. I'm sorry, Ryan. I don't think Woody is involved in the football anymore. I really don't. The reason that he was is because he could be. We had a bunch of weak-minded guys with no reputations in their first. Like, it's just Joe Douglas is a very well-respected guy. He also brought in Phil Savage and Rex Hogan. These guys are legit. You know what I mean? Chad Alexander. Like, these guys have been around. They're well-respected in NFL circles. I don't think Woody's tinkering anymore. It's like with Chris Johnson. Like, that's why they made Joe Douglas finally the sole GM. Don't forget, there's only the 2nd year of this. Is the 2nd draft of that. So they were in the mix until 2021. That's when it stopped. But I think that I honestly believe, of course, Woody's he's in the room and everything, but I don't think they're pushing Joe Douglas around anymore. I really don't. Joe Douglas has given the keys, the money, and it's his team.
And that's exactly how it needs to be.
Right.
Pump up the champ. Drops in with super chat. Says, if we get KT at 4 and both Sauce and Hamilton fall to 10, would you pass on them for a wide receiver still? Personally, this wide receiver class is nothing worth the 10 spot. I would not. I would take Sauce all day in that situation. If they took Hamilton, I would understand because he plays all 3 levels of the defense. But I think Sauce might be the best player in this draft. I think he's a top 2 or 3 player. So I would not draft a wide receiver if those 2 wound up falling. I would be more inclined to trade back into the 1st for a receiver at the tail end, mid-20s, late 20s, something along those lines. Green Bean, your thoughts if we get KT at 4 and Sauce and Hamilton are there at 10, would you pass on them for a wide receiver?
No, I wouldn't pass on them, but I would definitely, without question, take Kyle Hamilton over Sauce Gardner. But let me tell you, even if Sauce is there at 10, if Sauce Gardner is sitting there at 10, I might have to take him. He's too good. Or I'm trying to trade or something because somebody else wants him. I might even make it an inexpensive trade. Just, slide down a couple spots, give me your 3rd, something like that. But I'm taking Kyle Hamilton. He does more for my defense right now than Sauce Gardner, in my opinion. I think if either one of them are there, I think one of them's going to be a Jet.
Yeah, I think for me, I like enough of the 2nd round safeties where I'm fine going Sauce. Like, I really do think Sauce is just so far above all the other corners in this class. But like you said, Hamilton in a vacuum, if you're going Hamilton and Sauce, Hamilton would probably provide more of that oomph to the defense. Jose drops in, says, Green Bean, when the front 7 zucks, the whole defense suffers. So when the front 4 sucks, the whole defense suffers. Yeah, look, we've heard this multiple times. The best way to neutralize a lot of weapons is by getting after the quarterback so he doesn't have as much time to throw the ball. So edge rusher, that's where we're going. I'd be very surprised if one of the top 2 picks was not edge rusher. RJ McPot drops in, says, Fool got pulled over by Joe Blewett. We're talking about the guy that was watching our stream that got pulled over for watching the stream. If Joe Blewett pulled him over and saw us, there's no way he's getting a ticket. There's no way that would happen. I love it. We love me some Joe Blewett. Green Bean, I don't know if I told you this, but I was talking to Joe the other day about growing plants, and he has a Venus flytrap. And I was like, I never thought about getting a Venus flytrap. I'm like a little kid. I'm thinking Venus flytraps are these rare plants that you can't get anywhere else. I was like, where did you get it? Dude, I ordered them online. I got one sitting on my windowsill downstairs. Love it. It's the coolest thing. I was like, this is a little dinosaur in a plant form.
It is. It's like when we were kids, they were like these mythical creatures. I used to think Venus flytraps were like this big. They're little tiny guys.
Yeah, dude. I thought like Venus flytraps, stop, drop, and roll, and like quicksand were like the three things I thought I was going to have to worry about as an adult growing up. I haven't come across any of them until I got the little Venus flytrap this year. So I love it. Kevin drops in, says Jelani Woods, Virginia, tight end, might be the sexy pick at 69. His RAS score was a 9.97. I know Green Bean likes his Virginia players, especially some tight ends. Yeah. Your thoughts on Jelani Woods?
Love Jelani Woods. And look, I'm going to tell you something. A couple things. One is I was here, like I'm right in Charlottesville. Like I'm just outside of the city proper. I'm only a few minutes away. I picked up my wife who works in the city just a couple hours ago. But if I knew that Ron Middleton was there working out Jelani Woods for Pro Day, I would have 100% been there and been talking with Ron Middleton. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I missed it. But I'm going to tell you something. Now, the fact that Ron Middleton was the guy sent to work out Jelani Woods, who put up an even 10 RAS score, that's an indicator for me. It says something. Now, and Middleton was working him, man. He was working him out, and not only does he have a 10 RAS score, he happens to be 6'7", 250 and change, and he's got all the tools. He's the exact tight end you would want to bring in that you don't need anything from his rookie year. Like just like 𝐒𝐫𝐞𝐫𝐢 last year, you bump him up a little bit. You got 𝐒𝐭NCLIN, you got 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞𝐫, you bump up 𝐒𝐿𝐵𝐾 to 3, let him play specials, and you just develop Jelani Woods all year. That's the guy that in a couple years, man, holy shit. If you do it right, he can be something extra special. Without question.
It's one of those things we've kind of talked about, right? Where you don't want to have to play your rookies. Like ideally you have built up a foundation where these guys can learn and earn their spots. Like we've run into a situation the last, 10 years where we're drafting guys and they have to play. And it just sucks to see that happen. It's definitely irritating because we just haven't had guys hit their second contracts because we haven't drafted anyone worth a damn. So definitely frustrating.
That's where we got to get. You're so right, Ryan. That's very well said.
David drops in, says, it's crazy we have no idea who goes where this year. This more than any draft that I can remember recently is exactly that. Like I don't know who the first pick's going to be. I don't know who the second pick's going to be. I don't know who the third pick's going to be. I don't even know who the Jets are taking at 4. And I felt the last 2 years, like we knew it was Zach Wilson and we knew we liked Elijah Vera Tucker. Now we didn't think we were going to trade up to go get him, but I think we all liked him at that point. The year before, we were screaming for Denzel Mims when we were on the clock for him. And we thought left tackle was the pick in 2020. This year, I have no idea where it goes. Green Bean, any thoughts? Like, is this the draft that you would say is probably one of the more perplexing for you?
Yeah. You know what's funny? Because I think I know. I think I know exactly how it's going to go. I really do. Mm-hmm. I've paid attention, and I don't listen to certain people. And when you keep your head clean, I think I know. But that all said, I'm not all that confident in what I think I know. You know what I mean? Because of what you're saying. This is a confusing draft. And it's because we have enough needs and don't need a quarterback that we literally could do a couple different things. But the other thing is, too, our needs don't necessarily coincide all the way with what's at the top of the draft. And there's a lot of confusing factors here. So yeah, I think this is a good one. This is going to be exciting because we don't know. And Jet Nation is all over the place, Ryan. There are guys that are thinking Sauce Gardner. There are guys thinking Icky. There are guys thinking Thibodeau. Other guys want Walker. Nobody likes Karlaftis. We're going to end up taking Karlaftis. People don't think Detroit's taking a quarterback. Blah, blah, blah. It's like we're all over the place, and that makes it more fun, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And that's just it. Like you and I have talked about, we think that the offensive lineman seems to make a little bit more sense at 1. We've talked about Willis at 2 because Detroit coached him at the Senior Bowl. And, if they wait till 32 to get their quarterback, teams are going to know it. They're going to jump in front of them to get a quarterback. So I don't think that's realistic. I think if they pass on the quarterback at 2, they're going to wait till next year. And then at 3, the Texans are definitely the first real wild card for me. Like, I do think Dan Campbell's chomping at the bit to get some Aiden Hutchinson. That's sort of the pick I see them taking at 2. But dude, it could go so many different ways. John drops in. Oh, go for it.
No, I think I totally see that, but I think at the end of the day, they're going to see the opportunity to groom their quarterback for a year while Jared Goff is still on the roster, so they can bring him in slow, and they're going to take him. They know if they want Malik Willis, he's not going to be there at 32. So, and then they're going to have to trade up and everything. They're going to just take him. They're going to get their quarterback with the hopes that they won't be up that high again, and they're going to take him. That's what I think. I think we're going to see Malik Willis at 2. That's what I think.
Well, I think it makes a ton of sense too, because I do think even with, the quarterback or whatever they do the rest of this draft, I think they're definitely going to be a bad team next year, and they might have a high pick. And if they like what happens with Malik Willis, he becomes a trade chip next year, whether you are high enough to get a different quarterback or you trade out of that pick and you get even more picks, and that's how you really start rebuilding that franchise. So it feels like that would be the right move. I do like him sitting for a year behind Goff and just building up the team around him, because if he is your guy, now you have 2 first-round picks to help him. And I think that makes a ton of sense.
It's a really nice situation if you look at it through the right lens, man.
John drops in, says, I got to tell my girlfriend that I can't go dancing Friday night because of the draft. I bleed jet green, but don't want to piss her off. Sauce number 4 pick for us. Dude, if there's one player I really want to find a way to get, it's Sauce Gardner. And if I could come away with Sauce at 4, Jermaine Johnson at 10, and then I trade both second-round picks for Deebo, that might be my dream scenario. But if you can get Deebo for 10 and you take Johnson at 4 or whatever your edge rusher is at 4, I think that there's so many ways that I would not be upset that the Jets could go this year. And there's not many players that could happen. Like, for me, I think taking Hamilton at 4 would be the one player that would really get me upset. And I think it would upset a lot of Jet fans at 4. 10, I think, is a slightly different story. Yeah, dude, you got to bail on the dancing. There's always dancing next week.
That's right.
The draft only happens once a year.
That's right, man. Now, listen, this is going to be good for the rest of your life, too. You'll know if this is the right girl if she puts her foot down here. You know what I mean? If she puts her foot down and says, no, this is the night I want to go dancing, you say, here's your perfume and your toothbrush. It's time to go. Because that's just a window into the future, man.
Dude, So we had a friend. It was the year the Super Bowl was at MetLife. This guy worked for a company that was sending him to the MetLife Super Bowl, and his girlfriend didn't want him to go, so he didn't. I was like, I need to take your man card right now, because you're telling me you have the opportunity to go to a Super Bowl, and you have the opportunity to go to the one in MetLife? Get the hell out of it. Look, it was a terrible Super Bowl, so I totally understand that. But no way. If Becca told me, no, you're not going to a Super Bowl, I don't know what it would take to prevent me from going to a Jets Super Bowl or something like that if I had a ticket or something along those lines. I hope I could plan the birth of a child around not football season. That's how much I would be dialed in. Oh man, I don't know what would have to happen.
Yeah. That's a tough one. I mean, look, if you don't have the money and stuff like that, there's that kind of
different.
stuff.
That's
but,
entirely different. But if you were given the opportunity and it was like, hey, you're able to, like, this was free. He was going for work. I was like, dude, she's the wrong one.
Yeah, hell yeah.
can't
I'm
do
there,
that.
dude. I'm there. We're going to figure it out. By the time the Jets are going to the Super Bowl, we got to figure it out. We got to be there, dude. You know what I mean?
We'll do a Talking Jets panel live from the parking lot.
That's right.
Iowan Jets fan. Love it. Celebrates 12 months of membership, says, if wide receiver at 10, Williams is the only one worthy, in my opinion. I agree. I would say Garrett Wilson is... I wouldn't hate it because I do see shades of Deebo or shades of Odell Beckham there, and I would definitely be happy with that. But Jamison Williams, if we're taking a receiver at 10, feels like the guy that I would want at 10. But again, if the pick is receiver at 10, I'm giving 10 for Deebo if they'll take it. If they won't take it, oh well.
Yeah.
Jake drops in. Jake says, Green Bean, you put any stock into the stories about Sauce's character. We can have him play safety if you prefer. Not saying 4. He's locker room gold, though. Well, that's kind of been my thing, especially since the Combine when we got to see a few more interviews about him and I learned a little bit more about him. I think 4 is such a statement pick, and that's why I've been kind of saying no to Kayvon Thibodeau. And you're sending a signal to the rest of your team, hey, this is the type of player that we deem worthy of this pick, and we want to model the rest of our franchise after. And to me, Thibodeau isn't that. Sauce is. But the position thing is the issue for me, because I do think edge rusher is far more important, just like I thought CeeDee Lamb was the better player to take at 11, but Mekhi Becton played the more important position that year. And I think it was the right pick.
Yeah, that's look, I'm not buying into any problems with Sauce, man. Like, if you're hearing shit like that now, it's
I think he's saying it's a good. Or are you saying
good? Yeah,
he's saying Sauce is good. Yeah, he's saying he's locker room gold.
Okay. Oh, locker room gold. Yeah. Then I agree with you, man. When you make a state, like when you bring in guys that are the right types of guys and like take to football like a nasty Tasmanian devil, it sends messages through your, like when you bring in Jamal Adams and he's a loudmouth talking about his business and his Instagram and all that shit, that permeates through, and we saw that, man. Like there were at one time our leaders were Jamal Adams, Tremaine Johnson, Darrell Roberts. Like that was our defense. You know what I mean? And it's like that's why the team was like that. Remember, they're all dancing around and shit in the middle of the field. Like I don't know. Everybody thought it was cute. I was like, okay, you're getting beat. By the way, Yep.
Denzel Mims Matters. Thank you for the super chat. Says number 10, Mims and Ashton Davis for Deebo and a 2023 6th round pick. I would give up 10 Mims and Ashton Davis because I'm fine with taking a safety in the second round that would replace Ashton Davis. I like Whitehead. I like LaMarcus Joyner. And if you add in the safety in the second round, I'm cool with that. Mims, if he has to be the throw-in to get Deebo Samuel, I'm not even questioning it at all. Because realistically, you're using both tight ends, Michael Carter, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Braxton Berrios, and Deebo Samuel. That's 7 guys before Mims starts touching the ball. So I'm fine with Mims being a throw-in in any trade for a wide receiver. As much as I have hope for him, and I hope he stays on the team and does well, I just, I'm there on that one. What about you, Green?
Denzel Mims Matters sends us a Denzel Mims trade package.
I wish I had actually paid attention to that because it totally escaped me.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, you can't catch everything, Ryan. There's a lot going on around here. But dude, come on, Denzel Mims Matters. You're self-contradicting, my man. Can't do it that way. I don't know how to handle it.
Mike drops in. He says, I'm a season ticket holder, and I'm going to the draft party Thursday. Are you guys going? Mike, where have you been?
Dude,
we
we're live.
are doing our live stream. We're doing our own Jets draft party here on the channel for all 3 days of the draft. Now, I have been to the Jets-Giants draft party at MetLife, and I think it's a lot of fun, especially now that the Jets and Giants both have 2 top 10 picks. I think you're gonna have a ton of fun there. The only thing I will say about it is they turn off, like, the draft party ends after the picks. So once the Jets make their pick at 10, it's over. Like, they're not keeping that party going, even though I think there's a realistic shot the Jets are trading back into the tail end of the first. You're going to miss that if that happens, unless you're hanging out with us here. But no, I think you're going to have a lot of fun. It really is a blast. And there's guys signing autographs. I don't know if they're doing that with, like, COVID and stuff and all that good jazz now. The last few years they had, well, not the last 2, but the years prior to that, they had, I think it was the motocross going on, so you couldn't even go on the field, and there was like these huge dirt jumps, and you could, like, when you got to go on the field, that was a lot of fun.
Wait a minute,
because they had the blow-ups and stuff.
You did the draft party, and there was a motocross, like they corralled you into one little part, you mean?
No. You sat in the stadium seating. Because before that, so the first year, the year we drafted Darnold, I went to the draft party, and it was a blast because we got to go down on the field. We got to see the U.S. Open trophy. We got to see, all the Jets and Giants fans, and Baker went 1, and Jet fans are hoping, oh man, Darnold, hopefully he falls to 3. And then when Barkley was taken at 3, Jet fans erupted because they knew we were getting Darnold, and Giant fans were happy because they got Barkley. So it was like this whole crazy energy about it. So it is a lot of fun. I just wish we could have seen more picks. Like, I would have sat there for the whole draft if I could have.
Yeah. That sounds cool. I'd like to do something like that. Anybody going, I'm sure you're going to have a blast. There's also the party in Brooklyn with 𝐒𝐿𝐶 and the Jets Lounge guys. They're all going to be there. We're going to do weren't we going to do like a live check-in with them at the party, see after the pick, see how they're doing, see how they think?
Absolutely. Yeah, 𝐒𝐿𝐶's going to be on our draft stream, day 2 or 3 at some point.
Cool.
I mean, we can check in with them day of the draft. He actually invited us down to host the draft party, and it would have been a blast. There's just a lot of technological issues on our end and, like, showing things. Plus, it's just a real big day for us on the channel, so it's tough to commit to that. But they're going to have a blast, too. There's a lot of good draft parties happening.
I just had lunch with 𝐒𝐿𝐶 when I was in Staten Island last week.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
Yeah. Just hung out at Mike's Diner, man, in Staten Island. Famous place.
He's a great guy. If you guys are on Twitter and you haven't hopped into one of the Jets lounges, 𝐒𝐿𝐶 and those guys do a great job with it. There, Tony Richardson hops in there. Who else is in
man.
there?
Yeah,
I've talked to Tony. Woody's in there a lot. Doozable's in there. You see some of the beat reporters hop in those. It's a lot of fun. I usually, anytime I get a notification for a Jet Lounge, I usually pop in just to see who's in there. And then if it's someone I really want to, like, ask some questions, then I'll start, like, raising my hand and getting in there. But they're a lot of fun. It's definitely worth your time to check it out. Oh,
totally. Yeah, it's great in there. And 𝐒𝐿𝐶 is just the best dude. Like, he's legit, man. It's funny. Like, 2 years ago when he started giving shit away and all that, I got numerous emails from people. Numerous. Like, I'm at least 5 from people asking me, why am I, like, some variation of, like, why are you dealing with that guy? Clearly something's wrong here. Like, he's stealing this shit or something. And I was like, dude, you got him wrong. I mean, I don't know exactly the deal with, but it's like, dude, I said, dude, I talked to this guy. Like, you got it all wrong, bro. And look, he's still out there. Like, he's just slowly but surely developing his relationships out there. Now he's hanging out with Jets players, and he's a good dude, man. He's legitimately a good dude.
He really is. We got to meet him for opening day this past year, and dude, seriously, if you want to support a really good Jets fan in general, it's 𝐒𝐿𝐶 there's no better guy. He's a good dude.
Right. He's BKLYN929 on Twitter. Brooklyn929 on Twitter. You'll see him. He's awesome. You'll love him.
Kevin drops in with another super chat, said Sauce would reset New York Jets cornerback lineup. Cornerback 1, day 1 starter. The nice thing is you don't necessarily have to force him to be the number 1 starter day 1. Now, I do think he would inevitably take over that role, but DJ Reed is really good, and you can have him be your number 1 and have Sauce have the ability to ball hawk and go after, quarterbacks blitzing off the edge. Like you can use him a little bit more like a Swiss Army knife if he doesn't have to be the number one corner. And I think he will develop into it. But, Kev, I don't hate what you're saying there. I really don't. Jake celebrates 2 months of membership. I appreciate that, Jake. For every month you're a member of the channel, you get a free super chat. And Jake drops his in here. He says, I got my free comment. 1 day, 21 hours, 24 minutes until the NFL draft. I can't wait. I'm going to lose my cool. I'm going to lose my cool. Travis hops in. Travis says, I work during the draft. I work at a Hooters. So it'll be on the TVs. But as soon as I'm off, I'm watching you guys. 1, I love that you can watch the draft. 2, Hooters. And 3, thank you for watching us. It's all, those are 3 things that all work out fantastic. So there's a lot worse places you could be working when the NFL draft is on TV. Denzel, Mims Matters, drops in with another super chat. He says, number 10, Denzel Mims, Ashton Davis for Deebo and a 2023 6th. Yeah, we just talked about that, Denzel Mims Matters. So I'm going to... He just said the same exact super chat he just sent before, I think.
Maybe you're double-clicking on him.
Nope, it's definitely different because the last one had a parentheses around 23, which confused me. But I figured it out that it was a 2023 6. So Denzel Mims Matters. I think it's funny, like Green Bean said. Oh, no, he changed his name. Hold on. Denzel Mims doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, you bastard.
Oh, man, that's so much better.
That's funny, though. Man. Got to give it to him.
That's great. Iowa Jets fan, caught it right as it clicked, because I see him in the chat. He goes, he changed his name. That's too funny. That's really good. Kevin drops in with another super chat. He says, Rich Eisen had Sauce call in today. You can hear him. Ooh, I love Rich Eisen. Rich Eisen is probably my favorite Jets fan. I really like him. I think he's a stand-up dude. I love watching his 40s at the combine. And I know he likes Sauce Gardner. That almost gives me a little bit more and look, I don't know where he stands as far as how accurate he is on good players or anything like that. But dude, I like Rich Eisen. I care about what he has to say. And I really like Sauce. So when he kind of echoes things that I already like, it's like you're preaching to the choir. So yeah, NFL Network. What did I say? I don't know if I said NFL Network or not.
Yeah, I used to love ESPN's coverage. Like when NFL first started, I thought they were slapdick. But over the years, they've gotten much better. And ESPN has kind of lost it with me. They seem random and yeah, it's a shame because they kind of invented the whole thing, really.
Yeah, dude, it was so much fun watching ESPN as a kid growing up, and you always had the top 10. You always had some really great shows, and they kind of changed it where you started getting more of this Stephen A. First take with the Skip Bayless thing going back and forth, and that was where I started to kind of get turned off from it. I didn't mind it when it was Skip and then a random guy that they'd have on to debate back and forth. I thought that was all right. I watched it when it was Cold Pizza initially, with I think it was Jay Crawford maybe as the host. There was a lot of really good shows on ESPN. I would say I really like NFL Network now. NFL Network has definitely taken over for me as far as the premier NFL network, which is weird to say. Jake.
Yeah, what's up, Jake?
Jake Aspen's in the chat. Jake's hanging out with us at some point during the draft. He says Eisen loves Sauce, but then will complain about the Jets not having an edge rusher since John Abraham. Well, that's because we're going to take Sauce at 4, and then we're going to take our edge rusher at 10, Jake.
Yeah,
I know that's what's
maybe. It's very realistic, man. I don't think we're taking a cornerback in the whole draft, but if it is going to be one, we're going to do it up top, I think.
Dude, I just want to find a way to get Sauce. It seems like a lot of people. It seems like Sauce made the rounds today. He was on Eisen, he was on Sims, and it seems like he was on. Someone else said something. 98.7. Is it 98.7? Is that Hot 9? No, that's not. That's Hot 97. Sorry. Mike drops in with a super chat. Jake says, "You guys are the best." Jake, you're the best. And he also says KT was on NFL Network and was great. man, dude, KT he scares me. That's what it is. He
I
scares
know.
me.
I think he would be a slam dunk in my opinion.
Yeah. Look,
Give
I
Zach
like the talent.
that's the
I like the talent. If they're okay with the personality, they're in the room with the guy. I'll be fine with it. He
think
just gives me
about
the willies.
that guy getting mentored by Carl Lawson and Vinny
Mhm.
Curry and Quinnen, and then you add Salah on top. It's the perfect
Mhm.
situation for him to reach his potential, in my opinion. Perfect.
Mike drops in. Mike says, first time I'm watching, and I already love you guys. I'll definitely have you guys on or in my AirPods during the draft party. Do you guys think we're gonna get Deebo, and how many wins can we have this year? Well, Mike, we're glad to have you. It really means a lot that you're hanging out with us. This is a lot of fun. Like you're joining like right at the fun point of the draft. I mean, we had all the fun during the offseason, but the draft party is so much fun. It gets wild, especially because like we stop looking at the chat right as the Jets pick's about to happen, and we start seeing like the chat start ripping comments like out of the corner of our eye, and we're like, we can't look at it, like, but something's going on right now. And it's a lot of fun. There's like a 20-second, 30-second delay, so you can watch the draft on your end and then click over to us and kind of see what's going on and see how we react to it. So it's a really good time. As far as do we think we're going to get Deebo and how many wins can we get this year? I think if they'll take 10 for Deebo, I think we do it, and I think it's the right move to make because I think you give Zach Wilson an immediate elite weapon. Yeah, look, that's where I would go. I would do it 100%. No questions asked. Green Bean, what say you?
With first time watching with Mike Anthony, I think we're going to get Deebo and how many wins?
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you this. If we get Deebo Samuel, let's just as an example, for 10, all right? Our offensive line is back together. Now we know all those guys have played in it for a year. We brought over a guy who's played in it for the last number of years. So our offensive line is good. We got Elijah Moore. You got Deebo Samuel, Corey Davis, Braxton Berrios, the 2 tight ends. You get a running back. I honestly think if Zach is more comfortable in the offense, and it looked like he was at the end of the season, I think we can go undefeated.
Yeah, sure. I'm right there with you.
I think, look, I'm looking for a 7-win floor. That's what I'm looking for. I would love to see 9, 10, on an exciting year and fighting for the wild card. I would love that. And I think it's possible depending on injuries. I think that's the main obstacle for us. Even if we just look at the guys that we lost last year, if they were in, like a Carl Lawson, like a Jamie Sherwood, like a LaMarcus Joyner, and then obviously the number of games with Elijah Moore and Michael Carter and Becton. Like if those guys all just play second year in the system, I think we're going to win a few more games just on that alone.
Yeah, I want to see in the hunt in December. I don't necessarily care what the win total is, but I do think 7 wins is realistic. And it's all going to hinge on how Zach Wilson performs this year because I think the offensive line is fine. I think the weapons are going to be fine. I think the defense is going to be vastly improved, especially with, you got to think this team, not just adding the draft picks and the free agents from this year, but you're adding Carl Lawson. You're adding Vinny Curry. You're adding LaMarcus Joyner. You're adding Mekhi Becton. Like 4 guys that you didn't get to see play last year. This team could absolutely be a lot better, especially if Zach makes that next step.
Absolutely. Like Frankie from Flatbush says, he says, the golden number is this. If this happens, it's a completely different season. 65% completion percentage from Zach Wilson. Let's not forget, he was number 1 in the NFL for catchable balls being dropped. So in addition to his struggles, he also had the most catchable balls dropped, and at least 3 of those catchable balls that were dropped ended up being interceptions. So it's like there's a lot that we had a rough year, and there's a lot of blame to go around and a lot of ugliness around the whole place. But the truth is that we missed a lot of opportunity too, man. And if those guys, if we could just mitigate the injuries, significantly, if that turns a corner and Zach is at 65%, dude, we're going to have something here, especially if you add a player like Deebo Samuel. It's going to be insanity, I think. It's going to be, we're going to start seeing for once wait a minute, we have something here.
To add one extra thing to that great little rant you had going right there, Zach Wilson also had something like 5 or 6 receptions end on the 1 yard line. Like, so when you factor that in, like, generally speaking, that doesn't happen. Like, that is a very weird thing to have happen. Like, that could be 5 more passing touchdowns for Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Really weird.
Well, think about it, dude. If he had 3 less, like, listen, we're not making shit up. Like, Berrios hit him in the hands. It popped up and it is an interception. 2 Corey Davis passes hit him in the hands that ended up being interceptions. So, like, just if he just has 3 less interceptions and those drops don't happen, how many of those drives continue? How many of them are touched? Granted, we don't want to hang our hat on that. It's like, he's great. We don't want to do that. But at the same time, it could have been an entirely different year. And there was a lot going on. Rookies, injuries, all the stuff, confusion, complex systems. All that stuff is very, very real. But if we just move past that in a nice, systematic way, natural progression, we're going to have something. We're going to be on our way.
So Jake dropped in, and he dropped this little nugget. If you guys are not aware of Jake, you should absolutely go subscribe to him. He works for ESPN Houston, so he's got a pulse on the Texans' situation, sitting at number 3. Big Jet fan as well. He says, I think they are either the Texans, are going cornerback or offensive line, and Stingley is 100% in play. I think seeing Stingley run a 4.37 has changed the tune on where people felt he was going to get drafted. Like, for me, I would have taken him off my board before seeing his combine, or not his combine, before seeing his pro day. Now, I still don't love it. Like, I would still take Sauce over Stingley, but if a situation happened where Stingley fell to 10 and the Jets felt cornerback was a big enough need and they liked getting a wide receiver a little bit later or something along those lines, I could see it happening. So Stingley was considered one of the top 3 or 4 prospects in this class prior to, like, the end of this past season. And I do agree. I agree with Jake. I do think it's a cornerback or an offensive lineman for the Texans. I prefer that to be an offensive lineman because that's not where I want to go, and I would like to have the option of going with someone like Sauce. I think it could go edge rusher, Sauce, and then the Jets trade out at 4.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think if Jacksonville was smart, they would grab an offensive lineman. They would. If they're smart, which they're not necessarily. And if it was offensive linemen, Malik Willis and Derek Stingley, dude, I would pull my pants off and run.
Don't say that. You're going to be on live stream. I'm going to make you pull your pants off.
Yeah, hey man,
I'll drop pants down here. You can't see it.
Oh. Yeah, I'm significantly.
I don't think I have a good enough
now.
zoom on here.
Yeah. Yeah, but I would be excited. That's just my way of saying I'd be happy. And then watch Joe Douglas fucking take Sauce Gardner. I'd be so mad.
No, he's going to take Kyle Hamilton. I would be like,
yeah,
oh, no.
I'd be happy about
do
that.
It. Don't say that to me. Don't say it to
I'd
me.
be psyched, dude. Listen, if we came away, if
you had every edge rusher on the board and we took Kyle Hamilton,
I'd be upset.
Ooh, I'd be furious.
I'd be upset, right. But if we ended up in the first with going Kyle Hamilton and Karlaftis, I would be ecstatic. I know most of the Jets fans, oh my God, it's worst case scenario. Not for me. I would be ecstatic. And I do my own research. I don't depend on anybody to tell me shit. So I like my guys. And but yes, if all the edge rushers are on the board and we take a safety, I'm gonna be disappointed to say the least.
Slim says, can't pass on KT. This is how Sapp was passed on. I could understand that thought process. And Jake actually says again, he goes, one person I spoke with today said that if Walker goes 1, it's a lock. KT is going to be there at number 4 for the Jets. I do think Hutchinson goes 2 in that situation. 3, like we were talking about, offensive line or corner for the Texans. But then some people that I talked to, and I don't know if I don't know the validity or how much confidence I can put in this individual, and I'm vetting it, and I have to wait through the end of the draft, unfortunately, to see it. But I was told KT was scratched off our list, and it scares me to think that because I think there's a real good shot if we pass on him, the Giants are taking him, and I really don't want that to happen. There's no real situation where I feel comfortable passing on Kayvon Thibodeaux. I'm hoping he gets drafted ahead of us, so that way it doesn't even play a factor. I don't want to have to be in charge of that decision.
Yeah, I hear you. So if Hutchinson slides, I would rather Kayvon Thibodeaux be gone because then it's easy. But if Kayvon Thibodeaux is there, I just want them to take him. Don't overthink this. Grab the best edge rusher in the class, put him with Carl Lawson. The first thing you do, you go, hey man, how you feeling? I'm gonna be great for you. Yeah, hold on, here's Carl Lawson. That's how it should go. You know what I mean? This is your new best friend. He wants you to meet him in the gym 6 a.m. tomorrow. Get on a plane and go meet Carl. And that's all we want to see is you and Carl Lawson eating dinner together, playing games together, working out together. That's it. That's the way it should be. And if they did that, KT, you don't have a thing to worry about. With Carl Lawson around.
Joe drops in, says, only Jets channel I watch, guys. Keep it up. I feel like I'm in the minority. I love Drake London. Reminds me of Mike Evans. Definitely Sauce or KT at 4. London at 10. London not running the 40 scares me. I don't know. I like Deebo so much more because of the system fit and what he's produced in the NFL that I would prefer to trade 10 for him than any receiver in this draft. And Greenbean and I have both said we feel more comfortable at wide receiver in the second round than we do at the top end over here. But Joe, we love you. Absolutely love you. Let me pronounce this the correct way. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐿 says, I live in Chico, California, where Sierra Nevada is brewed. It's okay. IPAs really don't taste good. Boddington's British Ale. Anyway, can we just draft? Dude, I can't wait for the draft. We've been beating our brains senseless for the last month, it feels like. He's talking about Sierra Nevada because I had Sierra Nevada at our baby shower this past weekend, and I had the Little Hazy IPA. I love IPAs, especially this-ish time of year, and then once we get into really warm weather, I kind of switch over to the seltzers. And then when we get back to fall is when I switch back over to the IPAs. I love me some IPAs. I really do. I've never had Boddington's British Ale. I'd be willing to try it, though. Absolutely would be willing to try it. John says, I made a $10 bet on the Jets to win the Super Bowl.
Nice.
16,000 to 1. Sauce at 4. KT slides to 10. That's probably my ideal situation. Sauce at 1. KT falls to 10, so it's more of a statement pick, kind of. And then you trade whatever you got to trade to try and get Deebo with those later picks, because I do think you got to get the receiver. Greenbean, any thoughts on John's super chat here? Sauce at 4, KT slides to 10.
What's up? I made it $10. Sauce at 4, yeah. If KT slides to 10... Yeah, I don't know. This is, again, it's like what we were talking about. Oops. It's like what we were talking about before. That seems like a complex way to get it done to me. It seems like all kinds of risk. Is our priority cornerback going into this season? Is it? I don't know. And I get it. Best player available at a position of need. What you're saying, Heibendal, is that cornerback is our priority. And that edge rusher, we'll wait and see if he slips. That's backwards to me. Now, if we come out of the draft with Kayvon Thibodeaux and Sauce Gardner, I'm not going to complain. 2 great players, But again, I don't really want to see cornerback. I would much prefer Kyle Hamilton. Much prefer. It would change our defense if we grabbed a legitimate edge rusher and a safety like him with our cornerbacks. It would be fantastic. Use a 35 or 38 for one of these linebackers, Christian Harris or somebody. Dude, now we're talking. Sauce, to me, it's dude, we already have cornerbacks. Let them run it back. We just used a whole year getting them acclimated to the system. And don't forget, we've used 4 draft picks and $11 million on cornerbacks the past 2 years. So, like, can we move on from cornerbacks and offensive tackles already? Can we fucking do something else? You know? So that said, if they get 2 great players, I'm not going to be upset, but that's not my preferred way.
Yeah. So for me, if we're saying it's tough, right? Like if you and I were saying, okay, we think offensive lineman should be the pick for the Jaguars at 1. If Hutchinson goes 2, and an offensive lineman goes 3, or maybe it's Stingley at 3, like Asman's saying, possibly. And now you have 4 of the top edge rushers, 4 of the top 5, and Sauce is sitting there. I'm playing the numbers game. It depends on if you like all the edge rushers the same. If you don't like all the edge rushers the same, take your guy at 4. I think that's the right pick to do, the same way we were talking about Becton in 2020. But if you like a lot of them, then you take Sauce at 4. The Giants are going offensive line. The Panthers are going quarterback or offensive line. The Giants then go either a corner, a safety, maybe a D-end, potentially. And then I think Atlanta goes receiver. I don't know what Seattle does. Seattle could be a corner, but it's so tough because if Stingley has gone and Sauce is gone, I don't know if there's a corner worthy of a top 10 pick. So it creates a weird situation. But if I'm playing the numbers game, I think if there's 4 edge rushers left, at least 2 are going to be there for the Jets at 10.
Though, I hear you, and logically, you're making a lot of sense. At the same time, it's been said for months that there might even be the first 3 edge rushers gone in the top 3 picks.
Yeah.
So I think if edge rushers are getting to that place where teams all but wrote them off, edge is such a premium position, and the top 5 edge rushers in this class, for one reason or another, pick your flavor, they're as good of a group of edge rushers as we've seen in a draft class in a long time. Now, the 2000 and the Dwayne Haskins draft, there was a bunch of good.
That was the Quinnen draft. That was the that was Quinnen, Bosa. It was Josh Allen.
Montez Sweat, Ed Oliver. So, but there were a lot of interior guys too. But that was a very strong defensive line draft, both edge, Josh Allen, and interior. And what did you see in that first round? Everybody feasted. Why? Because that's the best group. We got to get one of these guys. Just like in a strong wide receiver class, you see 7, 8 wide receivers going to first. Why? Because it's the year to do that. This is the year to feast. Like I always say, you don't walk into a Chinese restaurant and order their fucking hot dog. You know what I mean? It's not, they're like, they have it just because. It's not what you want. You go to a Chinese food restaurant, you get their specialty. You get the happy family, Ryan. Get the poop platter.
I get my General Tso's with some pork fried rice. Love it.
There you go.
Absolutely love it. Gabe says, Ryan, what will you do if your wife goes into labor during the draft? Well, I have this thing, and I have Uber on it. And I might get in a lot of trouble when I leave this stream now if she's watching this. No, if baby starts coming, I got to go. And I'll be live streaming from the hospital. No, it's not happening yet. June 11th.
How far along?
June 11th is when baby's due. I got time. Yeah. But we're saying if the water breaks and stuff starts happening, I would be upset. I hope it doesn't happen. Yeah. See, look, I'm a big dinosaur guy. Growing up, it was Tonka trucks versus dinosaurs in the sandbox all the time. And June 11th is one date after the release date for the new Jurassic World movie. If there is someone looking down on me, my daughter's going to be born on the release date of the new Jurassic World. That's what's going to wind up happening to me.
That's fine. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's fine. I'm all right with that. Kevin drops him another super chat, says the Jets passed on Troy Polamalu, Hutch, Sauce, Kyle at 4. Man, I really don't want Hamilton at 4. That's the one player that's going to trigger the shit out of me.
It's going to trigger a lot of Jets fans. I would spend the next all the way until 10 laughing. I would. Because I'd be having now. I don't want to pass on Hutch or Thibodeau for that. Yeah. I don't. But I would love to come out of the draft with Thibodeau and Hamilton. I would, or even any of the edge rushers really in that first group. I like Karlaftis. I like Hutchinson, Tibbs, Karlaftis the best. But I wouldn't be unhappy if the Jets like Walker the best or the Jets like Johnson the best, because they're both raw enough that the Jets might be taking them because they feel like they can put their stamp on them. They can mold their pure talent into what they want him to be. And I understand that and respect it. But, man, if we ended up getting Kyle Hamilton in this draft, dude, it's going to take only about 3 or 4 games for Jets fans to change their tune. He's going to be so good for this defense. But the other thing is, the best, Kevin Delaney, the best year to compare it to, we needed a safety in 2002, needed one. And people like myself, I was already doing this draft analysis thing, not quite to the degree that I do now, but I was already going through the players and paying attention. I wanted Ed Reed that year. I wanted him. And many Jets fans wanted him. A lot of Jets fans said, he sucks, you don't want him, he's going to be a May, he's a Jag, all that kind of stuff. I wanted Ed Reed. We passed on Ed Reed in a very strong safety class for oh my God, what the hell's his name? I can't believe it. Brian Thomas, linebacker Brian Thomas. Now, he was fine. He was a decent player for a long time for us. He had his good time. He had his good games, but he was just a solid player. And then we just said, we'll just get our safety in the second round. We got John McGraw in the second round. He played for us for 3 years, got 1 interception, ended up having a 10-year career with 5 picks or something like that in his whole career. As we know, Ed Reed went on to the Hall of Fame. And that's the thing. Now, you can't predict such things. But when you look at Kyle Hamilton versus the rest of the safety class, there is a difference. As much as I like a lot of these safeties, I like so many of them. But, dude, there's a difference in the players. And I'm just saying, we've been here before, and we made the wrong choice. We could have taken Ed Reed. He was sitting right there, and we didn't. And I wanted him. So there you go.
I'm looking over on the Jet Nation forum, and I saw an interesting post, which may help the Jets trade out of 4 if they want to. David Newton of ESPN staff, an ESPN staff writer in Charlotte, North Carolina, says Carolina Panthers general manager Scott Fitterer met with Sam Darnold on Monday and told the number 3 pick of the 2018 NFL draft there is a pretty good chance the team will add a quarterback during the upcoming draft weekend. So that doesn't necessarily mean at pick 6, but if you're doing the math, they don't have a second, they don't have a third, and they have a comp 4th pick, comp 4th round pick. Like, if you're doing the math, it's the 6th pick is where they're
right.
Taking.
You're not going to call Sam Darnold in and say, "Hey, we just want to tell you we're going to draft a late 4th round quarterback." Fucking cares, right? That's not worthy of telling him. They're going to take a quarterback at 6. Or they're going to slide back or up and take a quarterback, but they're using their first. No doubt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it's a lock for him. If you want to get your quarterback and you think it's Malik Willis, you have to jump in front of Carolina because they're going to try and take him. And I think it's the Saints and the Steelers that are realistic shots, and I'm cool with moving back, especially depending on how that top 3 goes. Masuk drops in, says, teaching at a school in Montana. We had a guest speaker today who is a Jets fan. Awesome. Seeing Jets fandom being represented all over the places. Dude, I loved the 2009-2010 season because there was no expectations for the Jets, or at least in 2009, because they kind of backed their way into the playoffs. But when the Jets got in and they won the first game and the buzz started generating around New York City, and then they won the second game and it really started humming along. And then you go into 2010 and the Jets started clicking on all cylinders and they win the 2 playoff games again. Dude, there is nothing like when the Jets are good because New York City is buzzing. The Jet fans come out of the woodwork. There's a bunch of us around the U.S., a ton of Jet fans that just don't have that energy. Like the 600 people we have at 11 o'clock at night right now in the chat, to have that kind of energy. So when the Jets do well, you're going to see all these Jet YouTube channels absolutely explode. It's going to erupt. It's going to be like the giant YouTubers. You see guys with 50,000 subscribers, things like that. That's what's going to wind up happening. There's a lot of Jet fans that are just in hibernation mode right now. Right. It's going to come out.
Yeah, dude. If we ever start winning, Brian, we're going to be all over the joint.
It's going to be great. And that's what's it. There's so much passion and the Jet fans, after being beaten down for so long, the energy that we're going to be allowed, like I'm going to be more obnoxious than any Patriot fan you've ever met. I will ruin people. I love talking smack. And the fact that I haven't been able to do it for like a long time really grinds my gears. I want to just start like talking shit on the Bills, on the Finns, on the Pats. Like, I don't care. I'm going to get Mario over at #sports fired up at me. It's going to be fantastic.
That's great. It's exciting.
I love it. All right, Green Bean. We've finally gotten through all the super chats, and you said you wanted to screen share.
Yeah. Let me do this thing. I'm ready.
Let's see what we got.
All right, guys. I made this for you guys today. I gotta have the sound, so tell me if the sound's not on. Okay, you ready?
All right, hit it. Let's see if it. I don't know if I have to change my thing. Oh,
you see it?
Hold on.
You see it yet?
Hold on. If
you
I
see
hit,
it?
I see. Whoop. Hold on. Cancel. Not what I was trying to do. Let's try that again. Get rid of. No, now that's me. I'm just clicking on shit now.
All right, you want me to get out of it?
No, give me a second. Let me figure it out. There's got to be some way to do this.
Yeah, I made this for you guys to remind us that our cupboards aren't as bare as we think. So we have lots of room for groceries, no doubt. But there is somebody on the team that if we just help him, give him some players, he's going to dominate.
Come on. How do I do this? I can assign it as a guest. Oh, let's see if we can do this. Let's do this.
I made this with my own hands, everybody. I made it for you today.
Oh, it's going to be so small. Hold on. Let me...
Oh, you got to make it bigger, yeah.
Yeah, I'm screwing up here. I'll figure it out. If we do this...
Wait till you guys see it in the chat.
Yeah, hold on. I gotta figure out how I can get one without us in it. If I add a scene, let's try this. Let's do this as a solo. Okay. Can you hear me, Green Bean?
Yeah. You ready?
All right, we should be good. I don't know how big is it? Is it like
it's it's that. That's it. That's the whole thing.
Oh, okay. I just wasn't sure if I was missing part of it. All right.
No. Let me just hold on, let me just play it now. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Think. Oops, sorry.
I love it. I really want CJ Mosley to hit CJ Mosley of that first Buffalo game we got to see. And dude, some of the hits he laid a lick on guys this year, like he's still a dominant linebacker, and I think he's going to perform even better if we have some edge rushers in front of him and we have a little bit more help on the back end. Because my guess is we probably saw him hampered a little bit because he's trying to spread out that talent a little bit more. I think people gave him a little bit more of a bad rap this past year than he really deserved.
How can people in the chat say CJ Mosley quit on us? How can you
no way
come to that conclusion?
I think you could say he quit on Adam Gase to protect his body. I think like the opt-out year was a funky thing, especially if he was out at a bar in Alabama. Like that doesn't jive well. But we don't know if that was actually like legit, because that could have been like from another time.
Months earlier. That picture was from earlier. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. We got to stop reading like headlines. Dude, listen. Here's what we have: CJ Mosley came back last year, played every single game on an incredibly shitty team with injuries and people falling all over him, and was running around like an animal. He was alone in the front seven. You had Quinnen Williams, obviously. He got no help. And we saw it, dude. He could have easily packed it in last year. He was still playing 100 miles an hour in the last game of the year, dude. He made down. And people forget he made it through his whole season, just about. You know. So I don't know. People are nuts, man. People are crazy. What do we want? I don't know, man.
I don't know. Darrell Rivas dropped in with Super Chat, says, KT, Hamilton, Dean, and Pickens. Dude, I'd be really excited with that. You get your edge rusher. I love Nakobe Dean. I really like George Pickens. I think he could be the best receiver in this class. And Hamilton at 10. We have the luxury of 2 top 10 picks, and you can just go best player available. And Hamilton might be that at 10.
Yeah. Let me just remind everybody real quick. 66 players opted out in 2020. So it's not like CJ Mosley opted out. You know
and
what I mean?
like 15 were on the Pats. It was like insane, or like 13 or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like 25% of the entire opt-outs were on the Patriots.
Yeah.
CJ Mosley, I think, was our only, or no, we had a receiver, didn't we? A guy that we were going to cut.
Bryce Hall made all 17. Oh, you mean Dotson was opted out? Yeah. I thought
that's what it was. Yeah, we were going to cut him, and it was like, okay, I'm going to opt out so I get the money. That's what it was, I think. Chris drops in with a super chat, says, been listening to the 49ers fan base recently, and what they are asking for Deebo, most say 10 and 35, but I've heard some say 10, 35, and 38. I'm just like, bruh. Now, I've seen, when I was looking at the NFL Reddit, when they were talking about the Jets would offer the 10 pick for Deebo Samuel, all the San Francisco 49er fans in there were saying, take it and run now. Like, absolutely. So I don't think a lot of the realistic fans think you're going to get 10, 35, let alone 10, 35, and 38. Like, I'm kind of at the point where I don't think anyone is beating 35 and 38 if we offer it. Because I would say 35 and 38 trumps almost every pick that would be offered. Because, I mean, do you see Philly offering 2 firsts for him? I don't know if I see that. Kansas City offering 2 firsts, or the Packers offering 2 firsts. Now that's legitimate for sure, but I don't think you're going to have to give up more than the 10 pick to get Deebo Samuel plus a $30 million contract. I really don't.
I think they're overvaluing. Again, like, you just have to look at what's going on out there. Like, Tyreek Hill has been a dominant receiver for 7-8 years. One of the best, if not the best, in the NFL for numerous years. He got pick 13 value. It was 5 picks, and there's 4ths and 5ths and all kinds of shit. Then you look at Devontae Adams, arguably the number 1 receiver in the NFL. He got about pick 15, I think it was, or maybe I have it reversed. Forgive me. But why in the world would a 1-year guy, essentially, like Deebo Samuel, get pick 10, which is already more than anybody else got, and 35, and 38. Like, why? Where does that come from? They're nuts. And Joe Douglas, if he ever paid that, I would lose some respect for him. It's too much. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't give up that much for him. I like Deebo a lot, and I do think he's better than any of the receivers in this draft, but you're giving up 3 starters. Like, that's a lot to give up for a guy that, look, I'll be honest, there is some risk with Deebo. He's had injuries. Like, I think number 10, by all means, give it up. But just, you gotta be a little careful. All right. We have finally reached the end of our stream. We're just Chris drops in with another.
Chris, no more. I do have to go, though, after this one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So he says, I personally think JD gets done for 10 and 69 just because they're going to want more. I think 49ers give Deebo and a 5th or a 4th. Yeah, okay, I'd be fine with that. If you want to give up a 10 and 69, I don't love giving it up, but I'm not going to lose sleep over losing the 3rd round pick and getting Deebo Samuel. I just think 10 is. I think 10 gets it done. All right, Green Bean. Yeah. We're doing some Rochambeau or some odds and evens real quick. 3, 2, 1. Odds. 3, 2, 1. Odds. Friggin' Denzel Mims doesn't matter. Drops in at the end. He says, "Love you guys. Definitely made my night." Well, I'm glad.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
That's the goal.
3, 2, 1. Odds. All right, so our winner of today's shirt, and I forgot to ask for the chat's input on this because I didn't realize how many I had left. Champa de God. Where is it? Champa de God. You are our winner for tonight. Reach out to me on social media. I want to get your information. I'll send you out a shirt. And don't forget to hang out with us live on draft day. We're going to have all sorts of fun. We got giveaways. We got special guests coming on. I can't wait. Kevin, I'm not answering that super chat that says, wait, why was that actually Revis? No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
But I love you all the same. Boys and girls, it's been a lot of fun. This is Jets Talk signing off. JETS. Where are you going to be on draft day? Let's go! I don't think people realize just how many people are coming on over these 3 days.
It's nice to know that our general manager actually has a plan. I'm ready. Sorry.
Jets have 4 picks in the top 40.
This just might be the most important draft in New York Jets history.
I can't believe this is our 3rd year doing this.
I know, it's like the guest list that we have is anybody and everybody. This is going to be the biggest one of them all.
So it gets bigger every single year. It's awesome.
I love it. I can't wait for it. That's awesome.